Down by Whitegate's iron gate, where the grey sky kissed the sea, stood a line of weary men and those who would not flee. The rain came down like judgment, cold upon the wire, but a stubborn spark was kindling in the belly of the fire. They spoke of aid for wounded hands, for engines of the brave. So the road was split for mercy's sake, as honor's code would save. But while eyes were turned and duty bent, beneath the careful lie, another wheel came rolling in beneath the watchful sky. Climbed the tanker high with the tricolor in hand, and it roared against the silence like a storm across the land. Fuck the globalists, he cried, so every soul could understand. Their upcry below took up the cry as only free men can. The line held firm with plastic shields and weapons at their side, but the men behind those visors had nowhere left to hide. For a laugh escaped the corner where the humans still remained, and the rain washed clean the posture that the uniform had trained. He stood up high up on that iron beast, half rebel, half a fool, but roaring like a priest. We roared it back, our spirits overfilled, and one man's voice gave shape to all we willed. Ivor climbed the tanker high with the tricolor in hand, and it roared against the silence like a storm across the land. Fuck the globalists, he shouted, hear it echo man to man, and the crowd below took up the cry as only free men can. They called him down with careful words, with law and weight and threat, and he held his ground a moment more, lying you don't forget, that like the old tales often go, and numbers seal the day, he yielded not in spirit, though his body gave away. So remember Whitegate's rainy hour when the lines were drawn that day, not for who controlled the roadway, but who would speak and stay, for battles turn, break and fade as all that kind of done.
So have you much tarring to do today? He said that he's furious.
Welfare benefits were cut for those under 26 in the budget.
All you have to do is listen for
Arthur Griffith with
for your journey, as long delays are expected.
for you, and if you're pulled out tomorrow, you can pick a ticket. Which
It has come to our attention that radio broadcasts on the planet have degraded to such an extent that there is nothing on the airwaves but absolute rubbish. We apologise for the delay in our response, as the airwaves carrying this bullshit have only reached our star system today. We've dispatched two of our brightest agents in the field to rectify this problem.
Howdy folks, thank you for joining me at this late hour, 35 past midnight. Happy 13th of April, folks. Yep, it's a bit cold and damp in good old Dublin. Jeez, we had hailstones. It's mad. I thought my day got better after midday, and I thought, oh, it's nice and sunny. It's nice and warm. I'll hang out my clothes outside. That didn't last long because a hailstorm came. What is going on? Excusez-moi. I have a few beers on me. I didn't anticipate having to come on here live. But again, thank you for joining me for this time. I just need to put something on the record. Something that a lot of people had suspected was coming. I have been begging my comrades, my co-host, who we spoke to on Friday before my internet crapped out, and well, that show was a shit show anyway. Among others, very skeptical of what has been going on in the country for the last month. I decided to take the pronoia tact, the opposite of paranoia. As I was trying to drill down with my ever skeptical former co-host Morgan on Friday, you need to take a stand somewhere. You know, you can't be infinitely skeptical of everything to the point that you never make decisions, you never make a stand. And I don't regret that one bit, because what has been achieved in this country, particularly in the last week, has been incredible. We have crossed a Rubicon. We have shown the regime for exactly what it is. We have inspired other countries to do as we are doing. This is no small thing. Where I began to feel that we were wobbling was this increased rhetoric about recalling the Dáil to have a vote of no confidence. You know, within the last week, after the demands was recall the Dáil to reduce the fuel prices. Since then, the demands of our people, of our movement, has broadened. To quote the great Ivor of the, what shall we call it? The Whitegate standoff of Friday. Fuck the globalists. This means a lot more to our people than fuel prices. It has transcended that. So then, of course, it evolved into have a vote of no confidence for the government. But what would that do? What? Reshuffle the doll that's already there? Those useless cunts? I can count on one hand how many have not faltered in some way, shape, or form since the last election. I'm sorry, but they're all fucking traitors. Particularly the ones that stood up and said, we are standing for something new, we are standing for Ireland. Almost all of them traitors. We don't even need to talk about the fucking Seanad, because we know what that is. That's a nursery for failed and retired politicians. That's not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a check and balance kind of institution. It's actually a really good idea, but the way it's used is kind of like a fucking dustbin. I'm getting off track. A lot of people have suspected that things are going not in our way. A lot have suspected that it's just going to be the farmers and the hauliers who are going to take their cut and walk away with a smile on their face. But the last few days have exposed brutal violence and disregard for the Irish people by the state. And for some fucking reason, one of the main organizers online, and likely whoever is running this organization on Facebook, is one and the same with that fella who was on RTE a few days ago. What was that guy that said, we have an army that's bigger than the defense forces? Until I see proof otherwise, I think they're the same organization. Well, let's take a look at what they had to say today about what we should be doing going forward. This week has been an incredible week for Irish democracy. The fuck does that mean? And a real eye-opener for what devious antics the state apparatus is capable of deploying when people with real tangible issues want to have a meeting with their state representative body. So far, so fucking good. Very fiery. Brilliant. Legal actions and formal public complaints against individual ministers will commence in coming days. No confidence motions and petitions to remove the people's mandate from the government for their breaches of Article 6.1 are underway. The government politicians are scrambling to distance themselves from the decisions made this week that took a one-day protest into a week-long protest and millions wasted in resources. Claims will be lodged against heavy-handed Gardaí and their superiors, and they will be brought to heel for future protesters. Yeah, great. Yeah, absolutely. Follow the process that we already have in place. Absolutely. The legal processes in this country, they're still intact. We can actually do that. It's just the attitude towards the state, the three houses of our government that this group has, that I find problems with, and we'll get into that. People have been branded as criminals without trial or conviction of any offences. The purpose of this protest was to highlight the unfair taxation policies the government was issuing and continues to issue against the Irish people at a time when almost 10% of all taxes taken in Ireland are not spent. They are held in surplus and added to Ireland's rainy day funds. The people of Ireland need this money back for this year. It's also clear that the government is not interested in their people. Time to stand down the protest for now. Are we speaking the same fucking language right now, folks? Are we even in the same parallel universe? Do you actually have, you, my dear friend, my dear viewer, this level of confidence in the process? I'm actually surprised that 10 minutes after this was posted, I could only see one person like me who said, wait, what are you talking about? While likes and shares and supportive comments flooded in. I need to make sure that we're still on air. Generally, people are more chatty, especially if someone comes out and says something as inflammatory as I have just done. And yes, we are still on air. That's good to know. Am I the weird one here? To see that something is up, it feels like a honey pot. Bring in the good, strong, and determined people outside of the farming and haulage sectors to support them. And I was one of them, all right? I am suffering from something verging on a chronic lack of sleep. Sorry, my words fail me tonight. And I think the clutch in my car could do with a bit of checkup. Because cars just, I don't think they're built to drive at 1.4 kilometers an hour. But hey, You know, I didn't think about it at the time, you know. I just did it. I think a lot of us out there just fucking did it because that was the thing to do. Because we felt like that something was fucking happening. And there is something happening. Because despite this surrender that we're seeing here from this page with how many? 73,000 followers on Facebook. Now, Facebook is it belongs to certain demographics. You know? Like, I've heard it said that, oh, it's only for boomers, it's only for old people. Well, you know, I'm not old. Not that old. I'm old. I'm not that old. But I know people in their 20s who use Facebook. No, it's probably the most common social media platform out there. Where's your accent from? I'm being asked. All right, real quick, right? My mother's side of the family was from the north, from Belfast specifically. And then when my mother was 14, my family had to flee to Galway because of the troubles. My grandfather was murdered by the paratroopers. And then I grew up mostly around them, then moved into the city, got relentlessly taken the piss out of for how I speak. So I thought, well, you know what? I'll just learn how to speak properly from the television, which was mostly American TV. So I have a really weird accent. Thank you for pointing that out. There are a lot of Irish people still on the street now, on their feet. It's funny. Within the last week, you know, the percentage of people on their feet versus people in their large vehicles has flipped. That means that a different type of person is now in charge of this movement. And it's no longer the farmers or the hauliers, right? And I have a mandate to point out to these people. Hauliers, farmers, stand with us. Continue to stand with us, or God forbid, from your perspective, that if we actually get control of this country and we turf these cunts out into the ocean, you will be going with them, because we don't forget traitors. Give a Discord alert. Thanks. I mean, I'll do that in the future. I was watching Professor Hamamoto. Professor Hamamoto. He's good crack. I like him. I had a good chat with him in 2016. You can find him on the Eclectic Vibrations Radio YouTube channel. Okay, I won't get into that. The state has shown its hand. Okay, you know, it's done that before, right? Newtown Mount Kennedy, Coolock, even going even further back to Rossport, right? People forget that there was this event, right, where the government sold this gas field to Shell, which I think is the what is it, the Swedish or the some Scandinavian state oil company, right? And lo and behold, like months later, they're digging down there, and there's oil down here. Yeah, and me bollocks. Fuck that. No. You knew there was oil down there the whole fucking time. Alright? There was the technology to know that from the beginning. But no, these cunts sold our national resources to a foreign entity. And I'm not entirely clued in on all the details on this story going forward, right? But there were these 5 farmers, right? And they dared to say, well, not even, I don't even think they were necessarily farmers, just families who owned some land that just happened to be in the way. And it, by some kind of weird, not even totally legal Irish version of eminent domain, Shell had access to their land. And they dared to say no. They even put their bodies up in front of that machine. And thus we have the Rossport 5. Look into them, right? So this movement was growing. Protests were growing in size every week, every month, until they came to a plateau, right? Where there was, 100,000 in Dublin? Something insane. Something you just don't hear about, right? And wow, out of nowhere, the Rossport 5, the day before they get let out of jail, and they get to make a speech in Dublin in front of this massive crowd. It was like being at a fucking concert for, I don't know, the Rolling Stones, you were so far back, the only way that you could fucking see them or hear them is that they were on a massive screen. And big fucking speakers. And after that, what happened? Nothing. Like the Rossport 5 free. Okay, so, everything's done, right? We don't need to fight anymore. This is the same thing over and over again. We're handed this token of what is it? It's like token victory. Like right now, 10 cent off of fuel? And it's not even for the general public? I don't know. The details are scant. But, then the Rossport 5, they're free now. So, we can just go back and live our, usual lives. But, fucking Shell already, still owns like a massive amount of our national resources. And by the way, we were told, oh yeah, you know what, your natural gas is going to be cheaper. No, it wasn't. What other fucking examples of that? Fucking, I don't know, the anti-war protests, the water protests. I mean, okay, all right, we're not paying water fees, right? But Uisce Éireann still fucking exists. They just slowly creep in. And right now, we're being sold this faux victory. But the thing is that I don't actually think that the rulers, the elite, who I call the regime managers, are actually as clever as they once were. I think that the IQ of our elite has been on a nosedive for a long time. A great example of that is the absolute balls that Donald Trump has been making for the last month plus with respect to Iran, where I think his confluence between him being a dumbass, his advisors being dumbasses, and a certain country having a certain influence on him, which is irrational. So you have the an axis of retardation that it just compounds upon itself, and now we have Donald Trump is blockading the Strait of Hormuz, which is already blockaded by Iran. Like, you can't write this shit, man. And it's the same thing happening in our country, where they sent in the fucking army on our people. Just like they did the dumb shit of sending in heavily armed Gardaí with pepper spray that could knock back a fucking elephant. I don't even understand the physics of how something you can hold in your hand can actually spray a liquid so fast that it could do physical damage to someone. But, I don't know. I guess I'm not a physicist. But this is what they did. And I think that in years past, they could just rely on, they were just racists. They were just far right. Never mind them. Oh, yeah, we beat up a granny waiting on at a bus stop who had nothing to do with that. Nah, it's fine because, we were fighting the racists. But I don't think that sticks anymore. It's not working anymore. I don't think so anyway. Because there's still Irishmen and women out there on the streets. Pretty sure some of them are still out there now. Even though the blockade in Galway Port and the blockade in Whitegate are gone, they're still angry. And then you have fucking pricks like this. The people of Ireland against fuel prices protest. I really wish I listened to my first instinct about that, actually. When some other Facebook page shared their post about protests, and tongue-in-cheek, because that's how I initially approach things, because it helps me kind of figure things out. I said, wait, what? Against fuel prices? How are you going to sell fuel if it doesn't have a price? It's kind of retard level grammar, if you ask me. Now, when I actually took a look at their page, I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of all higgledy-piggledy. Oh, we're having a gathering there, gathering there, gathering there. people don't have like an easy way of just immediately finding out, okay, where's the nearest place to me that I can go and support this. It wasn't very clear in any of their posts, right? So I spent a night coding a page, just a simple page with a map on it and little dots, the pins on it, and a little list on the side of separated by provinces of the various places that people are meeting up to form these convoys, and sent it along to that page. And I understood, it was busy. They were pulling something together real quick. Yeah, sure, I get it. I posted it on their posts as a comment. Here, look, this is a real handy way of looking to see where you need to go. People liked it. It's had thousands of views in the first few days. So hopefully I helped people along the way. Eventually that page got back to me and said, yeah, well done. Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Are you going to use it? I asked you, is this something you would use? I was looking to become a part of something, not to, show off my skills and be cool and all, because I know how to code a website. No, I was looking to gel into an organization because I had belief in it. No interest. No. And I thought, okay, maybe that is, well, they're busy. Or they just don't think it's that useful. Or I'm outside of their thing, and that is inherently threatening. Not because what I did was so great. What I could have done was shit. At the end of the day, it's a threat. That was my hunch, and I ignored that because I thought, well, you know what? What's going on here is fucking great. I think it could be something. And you know what? It was something. But it has broken containment. Okay, I have to catch up on chat here. And, how will I... Okay. I have to be sneaky here and switch around some things. Yeah, let's do it that way. Okay. Just Auditing Ireland, Morgan. Just listening now, you saying I never make a stand. You were asked to continue the conversation in the Discord, and you said no. But that... Continuing a conversation on text it's your... That's it's a little tiny window into a limited but wider window of conversation through voice. I never liked text. Sorry, man. And I'm not saying you never take a stand. I'm saying you didn't in that moment. You strung up the whole show on, well, how do you know what anyone's thinking? How do you know anything? Sorry, man. I call it as I see it. Crispy. Dr. Crispy says E. Michael Jones thinks Donald has tertiary syphilis. Yeah, like someone like that wild German philosopher had. All right, if you know, okay, Morgan, you wanna do that now? Fine. I came here to throw down a gauntlet, but not with Morgan. Is this about Howard liking Marmite? Oh, Jesus. Dr. Crispy, ever the incorrigible joker. And Karen, by the way, I'm sorry that we were supposed to be dedicating Friday's show to you, and my Wi-Fi just took an absolute shit. I am seriously considering that I have some kind of backdoor in my PC, because I swear to God, and I pointed this out weeks ago, how come every time I sit down and do a live show, this Wi-Fi craps out. And it crapped out again, and harder and harder. Until I pointed out, hey, I think this is gang stalking activity. And I described the history of gang stalking, and lo and behold, fucking stopped for weeks. Bring you on. Sure, yeah, absolutely. Why not? This is yours as well as mine, so I asked you to justify your position. You ran. I ran. My fucking Wi-Fi fucked up, man. What the fuck are you talking about? Do you think I made that up? That I just started to... I don't know. How do you fake bad Wi-Fi? Exactly. Do you just turn it off and turn it on again? Is that what you think I did? Because if that's what you think I did, then I don't think we can even have a conversation, man. Like, if you want to air this laundry now, sometimes, bro, it takes maybe more than 30 seconds for someone to make a point. You know, when you're talking about something as deep as what is existing in the minds of others and how we can relate to that and conduct our lives with that knowledge or lack of knowledge. It's deep, it's philosophical, it takes a while to get into, but I would speak for more than a minute, and you'd cut across me. And when I say, "Hey, I'm not done speaking," you say, "Oh, you're taking too long." No, not on those rules, man. That's not how. And God forbid, Jesus, the concept of such a show as ours maybe isn't the best place for such a depth of conversation. But we got there anyway. Which we tend to do. Because we're both deep thinkers. Love is a misunderstanding between two fools. Oh, Crispy. All right. Karen, you kind of echoed what I'm saying here. It's about the both of them being both very intellectual guys that clash their ideas off of each other at times, but when they laugh, it's amazing. They have amazing laughs. Yeah. It's a crucible, like it generates heat, and that's where the goodness comes from. It's just not always pleasant. Chill out and sort it out between yourselves. Sadly, this is our sorting it out thing. And Morgan, if you still want to hash it out here, yeah, I'll just give me a shout. We'll connect on Discord. Enough shit going on in the world. Yeah, fine. You were asked by Dinny to continue the discussion in the live. Is that what you thought actually was going on? Read Dinny. All right. Let's hear it. What? Oh. There you are, Morgan. All right. Well, what? Why is Discord such a confusing fucking app to use? All right, ringing. No, Crispy, Danny just wanted a voice chat opened. Just a chat. That's what he likes. Can't argue with what a man likes.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, what you talking about, bitch?
What are you talking about?
I tune in
Yeah.
and you're going back and you're talking shit.
I'm just saying that it
Hey,
on
we're
Friday you were
having
saying,
a
"Oh, how
conversation.
do we know? Whoa,
Right, well,
oh,
so hang on. Go back first.
yeah."
So all of a sudden you're the rational non-conspiracy guy? Are you fucking kidding me? Since when?
No, I'm just I'm just putting my stake in the
I
ground
was hang
and
on. What did I hear? I was being paranoid and you were being pro-noia.
hey.
And then 5 minutes later, you're talking about gang stalking? Dude, what are you doing? And
I'm
then,
standing.
and
Hey! Didn't I just call out the biggest fucking organizer in the last month? All right. Hey, to consider me Candace Owens, who stood behind fucking Trump, and then realized, oh shit, this nigga's fucked up.
all right, hang on. We'll get there in a minute. We'll
Okay.
get there in a minute. So
All
we'll
right.
go through it slowly.
All right.
I'd like to clear this notion out of your head that I tend to go on endlessly, and somehow then, when it's your turn to talk, you don't, and I interject and cut you off. Again, are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I
Listen
never
back to
said you
saying-
go on endlessly.
You said I have this habit of basically cutting you off.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
that's
like
true.
that's
Yeah.
exclusive to me. That's what I'm saying. Are you fucking kidding me? It normally runs like this, You will go on for a very fucking long time in the most flowery of terms, laboring to get to a fucking point. And I do that too. But as soon as I try to interject or hold you to any sort of account or get you to justify what you're saying, it's literally 5 words in and it's boo 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 boo. And that happened when we last fucking spoke.
All right. Okay.
Right.
Can you consider that maybe I've just given up trying to interrupt you?
But you haven't. You do continuously. Continuously.
Well, what I'm saying, I could do it a whole lot more, and I would be just fine
And
doing
so could I. So could I. We all could. Everyone could, like. But here's the deal. Here's the fucking deal, right? So, if it's a case, I think where it collapsed on Friday. Was
Yeah.
it Friday? I don't even know what fucking day.
Yeah. Oh, I know, man.
Right. I think where it collapses, right? So, you're looking at this, right? What I'm seeing at the moment with the protest is, right? Everybody's lost their fucking minds, right? And everybody is now highly fucking partisan, as if they weren't to begin with, right? And so I'm trying to look at it objectively, from all fucking angles. I'm trying to look at, well, what's the first order of things? What's the second order of things? What follows on from this? I'm not being paranoid or talking about conspiracy theories. And I want people to understand the nature of the state and to get people out of this fucking nonsense that, okay, we're going to have a protest. We're going to collapse the country and then magic will happen and everything will be fucking wonderful. Or somehow to think, okay, well, we'll collapse the state into a complete fucking disaster and chaos will ensue, but it will be fucking grand. Because what? And that's where it collapses. Because then when I ask you, when I ran the thought experiment, okay, well, you're in power. What do you do? And that's where you collapse because your answer was, oh, well, I'm packing a bag full of money and I'm running a fucking way.
Yeah.
Well, what we fucking do?
But see, you know what is so fucked about Friday, right? Is that you pressured me on that. You're like, no, that's shit. As far as I can remember, and I tried again, which was wait, okay, so we're not the same crew who sold this fucking gas field to Shell. You know, we're not the same crew that fucked up the country. So then I thought about it again, and then, you know, the fucking Wi-Fi dropped, so you didn't hear my response, which was, yeah, you know, let's enfranchise a small group of people to stage a fucking semi-revolution, and then we can pin it all on them. But
I like what I want to do, like what I try to do is, you know, move past the fantasy. I'm not just talking to you, but to all of us. Like to move past the fucking fantasy of, you know, okay, well we'll do this and then everything will be grand. It won't. Like we have to get real. We have to get real at some stage and go, okay, well let's look at the fucking reality of how the state actually operates, and you know that you do actually need and require a state for a country to run, and there's certain responsibilities and things that have to be done within a state for it to be successful. And it's almost impossible at this stage to have that conversation with anybody. But I thought I would be able to have it with you. Because, you know, I value our friendship, and I thought our friendship was based on discovering the truth of a matter, not just fucking some friendship out of utility. But what I observe is you seem to be falling, and I know you said, okay, well, you know, at some stage you have to collapse the wave function. So you have to make a choice, which was a nice rhetorical move. But I wasn't saying, you know, you can't make a fucking, I never make a stand, or I can't make a decision. What I want to do is to, you know, for people to make the correct decision. And, you know, it's a bit of a fucking category error to equate quantum mechanics with politics, you know. But it's a beautiful rhetorical move, but it's not valid. And that's what I want to get around to. Instead of everyone jumping up and down and going,
okay, but just can't you see where I got my impression from? Where like it seemed like that I have made a decision for this moment, that this is the attitude that should be taken so that certain actions can follow, you know, without us going, oh, I don't know, oh, maybe, you know, I'll scratch my arse today. But then every time I would offer one level of rationalization to that, you'd be like, well, how do you know that? It's like, wait, hold on. No, I mean, I'm not saying that I know something for certain. I'm just saying that, like, for now, this is my position. Like, and that wasn't good enough for you. But again, can you understand how I got the impression that I got from?
I can. I can understand how you absolutely. I can understand how you got that impression.
Okay.
And that's because I have, you know, 20 plus IQ points on you. No, seriously though, I can understand how you got that impression, but that's because everything is highly fucking charged at the moment, and for me, that's not good enough. Because what I was trying to get you to do is to justify how you can, you know, make that claim. Because, you know, if we boil it down, I could do the fucking same. Like I can just say, okay, well, you know, I'm making this claim based on what I observe of people and media I consume. And then both our claims are just as good as one another, because there's nothing really there of substance to justify our claims, you know. And I know it's not the easiest thing to do, like when, you know, when somebody likes, especially when you're just relaxing, you're in the flow, and it's a rhetorical flow, you know. Perhaps it wasn't to be expected, but at some stage we have to fucking do it, you know. Like we can't just go around saying, well, you know, oh yeah, well, you know, I have access to fucking this special knowledge, and then when someone asks you, well, you know, let's dig into it a bit deeper, and then it's like, you know, go.
Right, yeah. Do you know what? I agree. Generally, I agree. But at some points in life, right, you can't fucking think. You know, like thinking, the time for thinking is done, and then it's time for doing, right? And maybe that's not the right doing, but you're in the middle of the doing, so to just kind of stop suddenly and then start being philosophical about what's going on will actually be more, it would actually be more harmful than not following through on what you're already doing. You're just kind of, you know, fudging up the process.
Again, I can see how you would think that, but that's not what I'm doing, and I'm not, you know, getting into, you know, some fucking deep philosophical point about, you know, a justification for fucking truth, or let's delve into metaphysics. What metaphysics? What's the point in that? That's fucking useless.
Well, I mean, it was pretty much what you were doing on Friday, but yeah, okay.
It wasn't though. It wasn't, because you took it as that. So when I asked you basically for your justification, I wasn't asking you for a justification of like truth with a capital fucking T or anything like that. You know, what I'm trying to do is to move the process forward, like, and again equating it with government and how political systems work. Like, it doesn't just stop at first order thinking, like, well, you know, oh well, this is a problem, you know, here's X, let's do Y. It's like, well, what's the consequences of Y, you know, with second order, and then what, and third order, and fourth order. And that's what I'm trying to get people to fucking think towards. And it's not to say, okay, oh, well, he's shitting on fucking everything, and he's getting philosophical, and he's, you know, questioning this and questioning that.
But wait, hold on. I think I know what's going on, right? Like, you were questioning me on, well, how do you know that? How do you know that's what's going on in people's heads? Well, the thing is that I don't.
Exactly.
And, yeah, but that's the thing, is that there's no way for me to know A or B or C or D, right? So, well, then, you know, I might as well just go back to bed and not get up.
No, you don't have to go back to bed. All I was asking for is, what's your standard? Like, what's your evidentiary proof of this? And if you had said, well, X, Y, Z, and had something concrete, well, then I can work with that, you know. It'd be like with me as well. If I'm making these fucking claims that, you know, I have this special knowledge, and then you say to me, okay, well, tell me about this special knowledge. And I say, oh, well, you know, it's based on my interpretation of events and media I've consumed. You will be, you know, perfect when you're right to say, well, what? Like, why does that make my fucking opinion on it any better than anybody else's, or any truer, or
well, the way I would approach that is I would ask you about those individual pieces of media, and I would walk you through that. Like, okay, well, you know, how do you know that whatever fucking source from Twitter or whatever it might be is, you know,
exactly. But that's what I'm saying. But listen to yourself, like, sources from Twitter. You know what I mean?
That's whether it's Twitter, Facebook, fucking the Journal. I mean, it comes from somewhere.
Yeah, it's nonsense. All that shit is fucking nonsense. Like, why would anybody look at any of that? It's, you know, it's horseshit. And where it got kind of compounded was in, you know, making the claim that these people are idiots, you know, and then dismissing the whole of, like, you know, everybody in government, the civil service, the think tanks they have access to, the academics they have access to, like European think tanks. And, you know, you just kind of blew that out of the water and accused me of, oh, well, you know, you're making up some grand conspiracy about the farmers being in league with the government and all that kind of shit. And I didn't say anything like that at all. I'm just saying we can't just brush aside the whole of fucking, you know, geopolitics and say, oh, well, they're just fucking idiots because I know better, based on what? You know what I mean? Like, it's an incredible fucking claim to make.
It's not really, though.
What is? So you
what endows these people with any greater intelligence than us? Like, I'm honestly asking this question, from Ursula von der Leyen to Putin to Trump to Micheál Martin. What
knowledge, experience, competency, resources.
Yeah, but what if like they're just completely fucking deluded? Like, what if inherent in their position in society just
Well,
comes with a
here's the
level of
deal, right?
delusion?
Here's the deal. If I went to Ursula von der Leyen and asked her, okay, Ursula, let's do a thought experiment.
Uh
You're in charge in Ireland,
huh.
and there's a fuel blockade. What do you do? She would answer immediately because she would know what to do based on her experience. And if she didn't know what to do, she would consult her advisors. And the point I was trying to make, beyond the fuel protesters, and I know, like, the climate at the moment, by me even suggesting that, the government might have some sort of reasonable stance here, or to talk about, the nature of the state and, the responsibilities of a state to its people. That the immediate response, he's a fucking traitor. he's a guard. Like one of the YouTube videos I put up, I think somebody accused me of being a Garda because, because, and in the comments again, because I'm trying to make, fucking rational arguments about the shit, because I'm not fully on board with the rah, let's go protest. This is it. This is finally now the government will be ours. Is bizarre, but people have to think. You can't just dismiss everybody in government as fucking as idiots. Like, how in the name of Christ do idiots manage to control, massive systems to keep countries going day in, day out? Like, it's a massive system that's full of competent people.
You're talking about a deep state, right? That just, the day-to-day runnings of things, right? But then, you have the figureheads who, actually at the end of the day call the shots, and they're put up as from popularity contests and fucking family wranglings, like what do you call that one? Fucking the foreign minister of the EU, Kaya Kallas. You haven't met a dumber bitch than this. Like, I swear to God. Like,
yeah, that's fair. Like, I made that point. Like, granted you that when we spoke the other day, that yes, there are idiots there, but because there are a handful of idiots, well, then it doesn't follow that the entire system is populated with idiots.
But like the top of the overt structure of our so-called democracy it is populated by idiots. Like,
but again, you have to, give me some solid proof that that's true. Because generally, idiots don't get to, stay in positions of power. And I know it's comforting to think, oh yeah, well, they're just fucking idiots, but they're not. Like, they may act idiotic, like everybody does. Like, everybody at some stage, comes across as fucking idiotic. It's part of, there's no super geniuses. It's not like they're like 120 IQ points higher than the average citizen. They're not. But they're more competent when it comes to the likes of political science and how to run a state. And that's what I was trying to do with the thought experiment.
Yeah.
Was to, because I imagine at some stage we see ourselves, or maybe not even ourselves, but other people in the future who would be of like mind. Oh fuck.
What? Oh. All right. Something happened in the real world for Morgan there. Dr. Crispy in the chat says, anyone who rises to the top, whether in politics or the corporate world, are psychopathic demons. Look up political ponerology. That sounds like an internet meme, man. Ponerology. Political poner. Oh, that's actually a word. Okay. Political ponerology is a study of the nature of evil adapted for political purposes. Ooh. Developed by Polish psychiatrist. Oh, I love the Polish. Andrzej M. Shit, give me a few minutes. Yeah, no problem, Morgan. Lubashevsky. It analyzes how pathocrats, individuals with individuality disorders like psychopathy, gain power, manipulate society, and create totalitarian regimes that lead to war and genocide. Ooh, nice. Thanks for that, Dr. Crispy. I'll look into that one. Karen says, Handsome Howard is enjoying the what? This Thesiler? Whatever that is, that sounds good. Martha says that Putin fits in that category. I don't agree. What else do we have? Who says we are at a base level? Okay. Oh, Karen was responding to the Siller 10. That's an interesting username. Dr. Crispy is convinced that our leaders aren't human. Karen says, Sire, some think we are man and woman, and other think human means monster. Yeah, I remember hearing about that back in 2008 when the Freeman movement came to Ireland. I don't want to pin this on Kevin Flanagan, because his attitudes I am pretty sure have changed since then. But he began the website maybe in 2006, Tyrannosaur. You can find that in the traces on the internet. You can even find it on the Wayback Machine. A brilliant community in Ireland where people started questioning, like, does the state have the power that they say they do? Do the police and the taxman, etc.? It's brilliant. But he evolved into the Brehon Law study. He even has a PhD in this, and now teaches courses in ancient Irish law, which fundamentally questions, the very root of like this Roman common law system that we're in. And so the idea of a human being being a monster is actually in the Black's Law Dictionary is what it's called. Like one of the foundational documents of common law and Roman law in the last few hundred years. Sorry, one sec. Call me back when you are ready. Discord hung us up. Because that's what Discord does when you're the only one in a call for 3 minutes. So I found. Karen says, sure, we don't know what actual law books they're using. We kind of do, because we're subject to them. You know? If if there's law books beyond that, well, it's not law, because that's not the definition of law. That's a secret society fucking made up thing. Well, it's turned into an interesting conversation, hasn't it? I'm glad we can actually complete the conversation that we began on Friday. Because I really think there was something going on Friday where they didn't want certain things appearing online. It was big time today, Sunday. Well, Saturday night, Sunday morning, there were a lot of people who were saying that their live streams and their videos, etc., were taken offline. This is what I'm saying. We're at war with the state, you know. Is this button? Yeah. Okay. All right. Everything okay?
Yeah, I think I'm being gang stalked. No, I had the phone plugged in, but I didn't have the fucking switch turned on the phone, so it died on me. But I'm back. You know, right? I know. I should be running government. I'll keep the power on. Where were we? Remind me. Or can you remember?
I was interacting with the chat. Sorry.
All right. I think it was something. Oh yeah, back to if we're in a position of government, like the decisions have to be made, you know. And I don't want to come off like, you know, well, painful decisions have to be made, but they do have to be made. And the point, it's maybe I should wait a week or something, like, because it's very emotive at the moment, because, you know, to be seen to be justifying what the government did is it's not healthy for, you know, life at this stage in the community. But they have to make decisions, and to think otherwise is to be sadly deluded.
Well, we have to put our minds into we have to put ourselves into the minds of our enemy, you know, that's how war works. Yeah. And then, but you know, because what I was trying to say earlier, so I imagine at some stage we would want to either find ourselves in positions of power because we think we could do a better job, and we're better moral agents. But if not us, then, you know, future versions of ourselves, our children, or, you know, granted, most of you cunts won't have children, so that's another fucking problem that needs to be addressed. But that's besides the point. Maybe we'll get into that in 10 the African children. Yeah.
Huh?
The African
well, why do we have African children? Because none of you fuckers will have children, for various reasons. But if we're in government, you know, we're going to have to make that type of decision. So we have people blocking national infrastructure. It can't go on forever. And so a decision has to be made.
Yeah.
And there are, you know, various options that can be made. One, do we, as a government, negotiate with the various factions and then set a precedent that any other faction going forward, all they have to do is to repeat the same action. And then they will, you know, bring us to the negotiating table. And that basically collapses a government, and people have no faith in the sovereign, because the sovereign, whether you like him or not, must be strong, because if the sovereign isn't strong, well, then the the populace don't respect the sovereign, and the whole fucking house of cards collapses. So the government in this situation had no real option but to do what they did, as unpleasant as it is. And I don't agree with it. I think it's fucking disgusting. And there's a thousand things that could have been done in the past to prevent that. Like, securing our own future fuel needs. But we didn't do that for various reasons. We've invested in, solar power and wind power. We refuse to go anywhere near nuclear power. We have it in our heads that, any sort of offshore oil refining is terrible. I would have been one of those people, in the past against it, going down to protest. Not many, but still going to protest because, it's a terrible idea. The same with fracking. But at that stage, didn't have the foresight or the understanding that to look at it from a political science point of view. Well, Jesus Christ, if you were running a country, these things might be important, and you might have to make, unpopular decisions with people. And those people who are protesting might not have the full picture. They might not have a full understanding of how systems work, and that governments have to plan for not just one section of society, but they have to take everything into account and make decisions based on that, almost utilitarian decisions based on, what's the best option, how many people will benefit the most, and how many people will hurt, and who do we hurt, and so on and so forth. Where it gets tricky for the populace is that we don't really have many avenues to be heard.
Yeah.
And it's not like this has happened in isolation. It's not like there haven't been peaceful protests. They haven't worked. There's been many protests for many different reasons, but all interconnected. And and they haven't worked. So from a citizen's point of view, there was nothing else that really could be done other than to take that action to block critical infrastructure. But people, we can't expect the state to act in any other fashion. We can't pretend to be shocked and outraged when the public order unit comes in and rips people out of it. Because if the situation continues for, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, well then, any public support you had, it's going to evaporate fairly fucking quickly. And, half the country loses their jobs, and there's no food in the fucking stores. People aren't going to say, oh, well, government, we need to have a general election. They're going to say, okay, you farmer fucks, get the fuck out of there. Or you truckers, get the fuck out. I don't care anymore. Go back to fucking what you were doing. There has to be a better way. So really, it's probably better that this type of action ended today. I think it has been proved successful. They didn't get to negotiate directly with the government, but the government did fucking blink, because there has been concessions, as paltry as they fucking are. What's it, like 10 cents on tax, or until October when it actually gets cold again? Like, oh, thanks for that. Yeah, like that's really fucking useful. When it's sunny, you can have a reduction in the cost of fuel, but as soon as it gets cold again, it freezes.
The jiggly thing.
Enjoyed a 19% increase. So that was the point I was trying to make. The other thing was, I think, around events in the Middle East. Another topic that can be easily talked about in objective terms. I don't fucking think so. But was just what I was doing, I'm just testing the consistency on the outrage. And that's why I was making comparisons. Well, is if America does action X, and that's morally abhorrent, but if Russia does, action Y, which is equally morally abhorrent, why would we give Russia a pass and America fail? Now the two aren't identical, but if we're talking about killing hundreds of thousands of people, I don't think it's consistent where we can say, well, Putin and Russia get the pass, they're okay. It's a justified war because NATO encroaches on their space. And we know it's more than that. That is a thing. Yeah. But it's much more than that. And the same with the Middle East, And it's not to say that, I'm advocating for one or advocating for another, but it's just a kind of My point was to see if we can move it on beyond simple moral outrage and be blind to other moral outrages because it doesn't tend to fit in with our identity, really. And I think that's what a lot of us tend to do in some way, shape, or another. And that was the singular point. But I understand where you're coming from. If that, like, I was shitting on it or trying to reduce it into some sort of philosophical moral argument, but it's not. It's really about, but maybe more political philosophy or political science, to look at it from those kind of terms of, okay, well, what is realistic, what can be done, like, and, you know, not to have the knee-jerk reaction that, oh, government, you know, we need to collapse the state, rather than to look at, okay, well, we can all agree we need to get rid of this shower of cunts. Okay, I think that's pretty obvious to everybody.
Well, can I stop you there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I get where you're coming from now. Cool. All right, now let's go right back up the chain of events here, right? So I'm hearing all this shite now for the last few days. Oh, recall it all, vote of no confidence. Well, then fucking what? We reshuffle the deck and we end up with the same kind of fucking gobshite, you know, parade. Or we have a general election and then what? A far left government or something? Like, so I'm doing the fucking what do you call it? What's the shit? My vocabulary is failing me tonight. Where, you know, just the cold hard best route forward. What do you call that? You know, out of the two, right? You know, on one hand, fucking another election or another government forms or something after the Dáil is dissolved or whatever, or just collapse the fucking state. Because, you know, how would you prefer to die slowly on your knees or die on your feet? Like, you know, just, you know, without any of the other, you know, without the context of today, just as philosophically, would you prefer to die on your knees slowly or die quickly on your feet?
Yeah, but you're giving me a false binary. It's like there's only two options. There's not.
Well,
like,
no, there really isn't more than two options here. I mean, really.
I prefer not to die. You know, I prefer to die of natural causes, or you know, not to have to make a binary choice between, you know, dying slowly or quickly or dying on my feet. That, you know, it presupposes that the outcome is already known, and it's not. Like, I agree
know,
with, like,
from prior decades and how things just get shittier and shittier every week now. You know, it's not every year, it's every week. Every day you wake up and it's like, oh fuck, here's another fucking panopticon camera in my fucking housing estate. You know, it's like, well, this is
okay, but hang on. Like, so let's test it. Is there a panopticon camera in your estate?
Well, no, because I live almost in the mountains, like.
Exactly. So that's privilege talking for you right there. Like, you're privileged, like you're living in the fucking mountains and you're moaning about imaginary panopticon cameras in some estate that you couldn't give a fuck about or not even know exists.
Dude, you can't even. You live in the countryside and you can't even keep fucking animals to feed yourself in your own backyard. Neither can I.
And you
like,
can?
No, neither can I. None of us can. We can't even keep a single fucking chicken because we need to fucking register it with the whatever department, you know?
Yeah. You don't have to. Like, I have a small backyard. Like, you couldn't fucking get a sprint up in it. Like, so I had chickens at that stage, but they're pet chicken for eggs. But that's the thing. Like, so, right. So we're saying, like, we don't have this and we don't have that and we don't have this and we don't have that.
Right.
But what we're tending to do, we're doing nothing about it. Right. To change.
And that's what I'm saying. just tear it all fucking down. And
No, you don't have to tear. You don't have to tear it all down, because if you tear it all down, it's fucking chaos and misery for everybody, because nothing will be rebuilt in its place. And we have to remember that, if we tear it all down, well, one, how do you tear it all down? It's not like that, somehow.
well, we're doing it right now.
Well, you may think that it's not really being torn down. Like we're making advances
All right.
for change. Most people will be happy with a general election, so you have to accept that as well. Like, people aren't really calling for total collapse and anarchy of the state, and most people haven't even gone around to thinking about, okay, well, and probably never will in their lifetime, well, what happens if the state does collapse? I don't think everyone's going to be jumping up and down, yay. Most people really just care about, I want to go to fucking work. I want to have enough income to pay the mortgage and have a decent standard of living, and I want somebody to tell me what to do. And that they couldn't give a flying fuck about any questions related to philosophy or political science or the, what way do we move forward? Do we move away from representative to democracy? Do we institute a new system where only certain people are allowed to vote? Because, there's so many idiots in the country, apparently, that they shouldn't be allowed to vote in the first place. Do we take the vote back off women? Do we only apply it to people who have property? Do we have a proper republic? Or what do we do? But if we're going to collapse the state, it's maybe not yet. Maybe wait until some of us are in a position to not actually die fucking slowly, because most of us are still dependent on going to the shops for food and all that kind of good stuff.
Right.
And again, slow starvation isn't a great way to die. And I have children to think about as well, and a wife, and it's not a pleasant thought. And they have lots of friends. So even if we take out all the state enforcers, it's just a quick email to our friends in Europe and say, hey, remember that mutual cooperation pact we signed that in the event of riot, and then you lads will come over and give us a dig out, and they'll be here in the next boat, and before you know it, you're living in the very thing you were trying to fight against in the first place. So it becomes a self-fulfilling
right. It just sounds to me like this cage is just closing in more and more, because that pact didn't exist, what was it, 10 years ago? Or even longer, actually. But no, the avenues through which we can even exhibit our discontent is closing in. So what you're saying here is fucking luxury of, I don't want to rebel outright right now. I have things to consider. That might not be a pleasure that your children have.
Well, the other option, your alternative is that they die, one way or the other.
Well, I didn't mean die literally. I mean, maybe die. It's like a roll of the dice. But that's
certain. Like
that's nature.
But again, I'm not advocating. What you're advocating is for the total destruction of the state, and in its place, nothing.
Well, I have more faith in our fellow human beings than nothing.
Really?
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
Well, I mean, look, there's a lot of fucking aimless fucking morons out there, right? But, there's a lot of leaders who will instantly know how to take control.
That's blind faith. They won't. They fucking won't. What'll happen is you'll end up with a fucking 1,000 different factions.
All right.
And then when a faction arrives at your secluded spot in the countryside and, kicks your door in and says, this is now mine, what do you do?
I don't know. I decide whether I like them or not. And if I don't like them, then I'll say over my dead body. And,
They say, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Well, then, I stood for what I believe in.
Yeah, but you won't be able to do anything about it,
Yeah,
because you don't have.
I can't do anything about it now, motherfucker.
But what can you do? In the event of collapsing society, what are you going to do?
What can I do now? Go and vote? Go and protest?
well,
Look, I'm driving my car really slow. Oh, for fuck's sake.
Well, that's what you did. So what are you going to
Yeah.
do? Blow something up?
Well, now that I've in the last month where there was something I could do, I went and did it. But if there was something better I can do, I would do it.
Yeah, well, how about this, right? How about this? How about this or something like that? We actually get more civically engaged and actually try to put ourselves into these spaces and spheres of influence where we can actually do something or have some real effect instead of going with the nuclear option. That isn't going to fucking happen. Okay, well, let's dismantle the country and everybody can, slowly starve to death. And somehow, through mystical magic, that the country will just, magically reassemble itself into a functioning country.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, but let me reuse your thought experiment on you, right? Where, like, if you were running the state and you had to work up a contingency plan of where there was a civically minded, energetic group of people that got together and said, yeah, let's just make our own state to replace their state, what would you do? I don't know, institute a secret police, develop
hang on.
certain weapons to kill those people before they even, materialize.
But you want to let me answer, like you're answering the question for me. All avenues for you. I'm not making that case. Like, I'm not making a case for that we form a secret society. I'm talking about on an individual basis as citizens.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not talking about secret society. I'm just, like, overtly, like, these people, they're getting along too well. We need to throw a spanner in that before they become too powerful.
But I see, like, you give out to me about conspiracies, like that's a massive fucking conspiracy.
No, it's not. Like, tell me, why has not in the history of the modern state, like, not our state, but just the modern state, has there never been a legitimate and successful alternative that has come to power? Like, that is
alternative in what sense? Hang on. I need clarification. Alternative in what sense?
It isn't in this flow of fucking. There's a general fucking curve towards degeneracy and lack of liberty, right? That we can all agree with. Like, all humans can agree with the fact that we are left with less and with less power all across the known world, the known modern world. Like, we just know this. Like, it's an observable fact.
Okay, so well, let's question it. And I'm not trying to pin you down or back in the corner.
Yeah.
What power is it that you don't have?
I don't know. I mean, I did my bit. I ran for office. I have my.
No, I'm not saying like what you didn't do, but what power?
No, I just don't know. I don't know what it is that's possible because what I have done has fuck all effect in the world. So I don't know what you're asking me here.
So you said basically it's observable.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that, everything is, there's more degeneracy and we don't have power or liberty.
Yeah.
So what power is it you don't have? What liberty is it that you don't have? And what degeneracy would you like to see stopped? So we take one at a time. So what power is it you don't have, or you currently, or you would like to have?
But like, you're asking me as an individual?
Yeah.
Okay, because like that's not how I think about that. Because I'm not running society, and I don't expect to run society. All I know is that us together, we have less control over our own world than we have had in previous generations. And I'm not saying that I should be able to go out there and affect the world because, come on, one
Yeah, but
man.
again, I'm not after that. So that's unfalsifiable that, we people in the past had more power. So again, just
No, it's
take on it
not.
on it.
No,
It is,
no.
but go back to the individual level because we are individuals, and like I don't know how you would measure that we have more, power as a collective because it's going to be impossible to measure that. It's just too abstract.
Yeah,
So
okay, fair.
on an individual basis, what power is it you don't have now that you would like to have?
I
Or that you think is
Okay,
being
okay, okay, okay. You want to play this game? Okay, I would like
it's not a
my.
game. I'm just
No, no, no,
I'm
no, no, no,
genuinely
no, no, no,
interested.
no, 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 no. I'm gonna ask you, and you're gonna be fucked when I answer you. I would like my state and corporations to not know exactly where I am at all times.
Okay, what could you do to make that a reality?
Well, I could throw away my phone, and then I'll be a much less functioning member of society.
Okay,
Yeah.
so but there is an option. Like there's, it's
Yeah,
like
but
clean.
see how I become less a less of a person in society that I'm in by
Okay, but
doing
if it
that.
wasn't for those corporations, you wouldn't have your phone.
Yes, that's the point.
Yeah, so there's a benefit
A
and a
benefit.
drawback to it.
I mean, when the drawbacks kind of start skewing higher and higher uh, versus the benefits, then we have a fucking problem.
Okay, but earlier you said that previous generations had more freedom.
Yes.
They didn't have mobile phones.
Yes.
So maybe that was part of the freedom they had, that they didn't have a mobile phone. So, they had to do other things that made them feel more powerful. Again, there's no way to prove it. But
Well,
the
I
other
mean,
option, the other option
they
would
didn't
be
need to register a chicken to the fucking agricultural department,
true.
for
But
instance.
okay, yeah, that's true. But there is good a reason for registering them. I don't register. I think it's practically ridiculous, and we live in a
Okay.
paternal estate. There's no doubt about that.
Okay, there's a
But
good
but,
reason. What's that reason?
but the reason is in the event of sickness within the animal herd. Now, granted, it doesn't make much sense if you've got one chicken out your fucking back because the state doesn't operate like that. It doesn't operate on it. Okay, well, let's have you know a really nuanced piece of legislation. It's just a broad brush approach to everything. So, if, say, one flock of chickens come down with avian flu or some virus, they don't want it to spread to the whole food chain because, they have to mitigate against such things. Otherwise, we run out of lovely fucking chicken to eat. So, what we need will be more reasonable and rational legislation. But the reason we've no effect on that is because it's outside our sphere of control. But if we got more civically engaged and took citizenship responsibly and actively engaged like an old style republic, now maybe the case that we're not fit to do it. There's also that to consider. Well, do you have any business being part of a government? Should you even be allowed to vote? Are you actually fit to vote? Like, do you know what you're
Sure.
actually voting for or voting in? Or should that be the preserve of people who are, actually more competent? So instead of having, 500,000 people choose, a handful of idiots, wouldn't it be better to have, say, 10,000 highly competent people choose a government and then the government they choose is based on people who are highly competent rather than, like you said earlier, just simply popular. But that's going to be a hard pill to swallow for people because it's like,
Yeah.
well, you're taking my useless vote away from me. Okay, so we move away from power. So liberty, I think liberty would be an easier one because, liberty is a problem. People don't feel. Oh, no, hang on, you're answering, aren't you? Or will I? Would you want to turn? No, you answer.
you
What
go
liberty?
ahead.
Yeah, so imagine with liberty, people aren't free to say what they actually think and feel, especially around government policy and especially in relation to, I think the big one is immigration. I think we could easily say that, couldn't we? That, a lot of people have an issue with immigration and people aren't allowed to express that opinion because it's racist and awful, and it will cause no end of problem to the country. Other thing, people can't talk about various ethnic groups because that's forbidden, and in the past has led to a lot of trouble. Maybe criticism of government. I don't know if that's really.
I don't know. You get the odd, thing. What other country was it now in Europe where, like 3 people were sent to jail for criticizing the prime minister or something? Like,
Maybe Germany.
yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. So somewhere in those fucked up countries there. Yeah.
Yeah, but that does seem to be the trajectory, and especially around things like race and hate crimes and shit like that. So I think we, as a people, we were successful in so much as there was enough protests to stop the government going full tilt and at least suspending the kind of full horrors of the hate crime legislation they had planned to put into the pipeline, where hate was, well, I don't know even know if it was defined or I don't think it was defined at all, was it?
No.
And then there's again, I think it's really about social pressures and stigmatization around people actually expressing how they feel about hot topics. Because either, the immediate fact is if you make noise about immigration, you're automatically classed a racist. If you express a religious opinion, you're normally called idiotic or some sort of fucking troglodyte. If you have concerns about the advance of technology, it's Luddite. So anything that seems to go against the progressive narrative is not to be outright censored, but there's social pressure there to keep people within their box, and especially around things like abortion. Can you say that on YouTube? Is that okay on YouTube?
Abortion? Yeah.
Yeah. So, abortion and euthanasia. So they're kind of the big ones, but we're not in a state yet where those things, can't be talked about explicitly. But there is social pressure there.
Right.
And the only way to break that is for people to actually speak up on it. And again, it's, we don't have the ability to get up in front of Parliament or to be on an RTE panel and express our opinion so the whole world can hear about it. We have really 2 options available to us. One, in person, we talk to our family and friends openly about it, even if it causes fucking horrible pain and awkwardness and arguments and divisiveness. And I'm a con for that, because, I think like most people, I don't really like confrontation. But there comes a stage where you just have to express your opinion, even if it's completely fucking wrong. But come the other side of it, and again, if you can test it and show the other person the reasoning behind it and ask them, well, what's your reasoning for being in support of abortion? then hear what they have to say, and then, go through the system. Okay, well, if this is the case, if we don't have children, what happens in 50 years? What does that entail if, all women or half of women stop having children? And they probably never thought about it, but then it's like, oh, well, if we don't have children, well, then society, can't continue on in the same vein. And then we're going to have to import people from other countries who, part of their culture is to have children, because, in order to keep the country functioning, we're going to need people. But people won't and don't. And I think some people do want to, but because of the system we live in and the social conditioning, many factors have been put in their way to stop them doing that, between psychological fucking warfare, the type of economy we live in, feminism, political ideologies. Again, women have been convinced that the highest good they can do in society is work. And to try and get a woman out of that mindset, a particularly young woman out of the mindset that, well, really, you should be having children. It's almost like it's kind of laughable when you say it out loud. Well, you should be having children. It's like, what? How fucking dare you? It's like, when did it become such a terrible thing to have a child? So there's the how dare you reaction, and then I think closely behind that is the, well, I can't afford it, which is a valid objection to it. Like, well, we don't have a house, and both of us have to work if we do have a house. So then we're going to have to put our child into childcare.
Yeah, it's a tremendous leap of faith.
Yeah, it really fucking is. And then there's a lot of young guys who, again, just don't have the capital. At least mentally, they think, well, I don't have the 100 grand a year job. I don't have a house. So why would a woman really be interested? What do they have to offer women? Because traditionally it has been that ability to provide and protect. And women have got it into their heads that, well, they no longer need protection anymore. Which they do. Now, unfortunately, they need protection from other men, but they like to pretend that they can somehow protect themselves. But when push comes to shove, they won't be able to do it. And so that's a big problem. And that would need, a massive societal shift. And it's going to be a difficult one because the powers that put that in place are, massive. It's been a huge coordinated effort on, a global front.
Like, why is there a uniform direction that all of this nonsense is going? Like,
well,
all of this denuding of ourselves it's uniform. It's in concert, going in one direction, which is into the gutter.
Yeah, but it has been planned, and I know it sounds like a conspiracy, but it's a conspiracy that's verifiable. It's not like fucking aliens in space territory,
Yeah.
So, and again, most people won't realize that, when you even mention the fact that, oh, well, countries and societies are run by an elite, what immediately happens in people's thought, oh, well, that's just a conspiracy. Like, it's New World Order stuff, wacky fucking Alex Jones. And I've seen it on the streets. I'm looking at videos of the protests on the streets in Dublin, and you've got people jumping up and down screaming about the New World Order and what have you, which is a real thing. But when you're standing in the middle of a street in public screaming about the New World Order, it's like it's not going to register with people.
Yep.
But there's always been an elite. So there's always been people who, and they're intellectuals, and they are, intellectually superior. It's hard to accept that. But they are going all the way back through history, like our good friends, the Hebrews and the Pharisees, right through to the Greeks and onto the Enlightenment. And still to this day, there are people who are born into families and positions
like the
where their role in society is to guide society. And that's not to say it's a good thing. But if your role is that, well, then you're going to make decisions based on that, on how to manage society. And the only way out of that for us is one of, well, the only thing that I can think of is one of two situations. One, like I said, we become more civically engaged. We get involved in our institutions and our government.
Right.
So we become active, or we recede from society. Like, so you get yourself that piece of fucking land. You focus on your own family, and you withdraw from society as best you can.
Maybe that's
so there's
the only
also-
option, you know. There's
It's
a
the
receipt.
easier option.
Yeah.
It's the more. I think it's the more.
But you know, the whole thing about getting engaged, you know, maybe that's part of the conspiracy, man. You know, like
Getting engaged. What are you talking about?
well, you know, like you're talking about, you know, these thousands of years of elites who've, you know, mastered society. Surely they've figured this out, right? That, oh, you know, maybe the plebs might once have say in how the society is run, you know. It's just, so, you know, it what I'm saying is it goes both ways, you know, like, you know. You say, oh, yeah, let's get civically involved. And I'm saying, yeah, let's tear down society. Like, maybe one or both of our solutions are already factored in by these, you know, Grecian, Huxleyan masterminds, you know?
Well, there's obviously contingency plans for everything. So that's what we're talking about, you know, first order, second order, third order, and fourth order. But I don't think it's going to go down to the level of, well, you know, individuals might want to get civically involved in society, like, because that already happens.
why
Like, it's not like
wouldn't
but it's not like you can't do that, you know. Like, it's not like you can't join a political party. You know, you can't go to college and get a degree in political science, or you can't do that
Right.
of your
and
own.
then and then the answer, I'm sorry, but you know, you see it now being called out. Oh, let's recall the doll and you know, have a vote for no confidence. Like, come on. Like
Come on, what,
that's
like,
the
so?
result of what you just said. You know, oh,
It's not
vote
the
of no
result. No, it's
confidence.
not. It's not the. I'm not again. When did I call for a recall of the current doll?
Oh no, I'm not.
talking-
I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I'm saying that's what, you know, this idea of yours of civic engagement is. That's the fruit of it.
not. It's not the root of it. Explain to me how's the root of it.
The fruit.
The fruit. Explain to me how's the fruit of it.
Well, I mean, what you're saying now.
But how? Because people generally aren't civically engaged. Are you
Well,
civically engaged?
And I would say I'm a little more civically engaged than others.
Sure, but are you like
and-
fully civically engaged? Like,
No.
are you? No.
Oh,
Either
well,
am I. And I've been, you know, woefully negligent in my civic duties. And I don't mean civic duties as, you know, being a good citizen as it stands today.
voting, yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean in the you know, historical sense of the word, what it was to be a citizen in
A
times
pillar
on.
in your community. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, an upstanding moral individual who, you know, flourishes in all areas. And that was the preserve of the elite, because, you know, nobody has the fucking leisure time to pursue those things.
Yeah.
But, you know, and this is the slow, gradual fucking approach. So it's not like, oh, well, in 5 years' time or in 10 years' time, we can all look back and say, oh, well, now we have a perfect society. Unfortunately, it's not a quick fix, you know. And neither is, you know, tearing the whole country down and burning it a quick fix, because then we're into where you are now with the recalling the doll. We're choosing from the same fucking shower of cons, like, so that's just something I think we're going to have to accept in the short term. And we have to look at, okay, well, what's really achievable? Like, so would it be a win to get rid of the two ruling parties that have been ruling the state for essentially since the foundation of the state. And I just don't mind, like, just keep that in isolation for the moment, and then we'll move on to what follows that. So to me, I think that would be considered a win in real terms. Okay, so they're removed from power. Great. I think come the next general election, half of them will probably resign anyway because they'll be so fucking hated.
Right.
They'll have no choice but to. Same with the last election. Like, God knows how many of them fucking retired. Then I can imagine the next general election. A lot more people will vote. Who they'll vote for now is a mystery. So this is where we're faced with another problem. Is we get rid of the government, our current government, and what replaces it. And you mentioned earlier, and this will be my fear as well, that the only kind of real option is some sort of left alliance, and so that's going to be, essentially everybody that's already in the door already on the opposition benches. So we're looking at People Before Profit, Social Democrats, an increase in Sinn Féin, and an increase in independence, which can be a good thing and a bad thing. At least if we get more independents in there, they're going to be genuinely interested in the communities they're serving. Now, they might not have a clue what they're doing. How could you? Because again, we don't have an education system, or we don't have a country that actually values civic engagement. It's we have
there's no guidebook for when you actually get into the role. Yeah.
No. So you have to, essentially what you have to do is what we're doing here is, over many decades of repeated fucking failures and thought experiments and nonsense, just keep grasping at potential ideas until they're proven fucking useless or can be easily falsified. But we don't have a schooling system like that. So essentially we have a lot of dynastic politics. We have a lot of politicians come from the middle classes, and that's not a bad thing. It's not a great thing because it tends to be concentrated in particular professions. Obviously farmers, heavy on lawyers, auctioneers, and teachers. Because again, they're considered to be respectable professions and people, and generally they are. But the problem I think we have is the very system we have, that it's heavily dependent on the party over the people, and our citizens. We've no real redress, and our government is being governed poorly. But it's only governed poorly for some. I think there's still a large amount of people who are fairly happy, mostly, I would imagine, public and civil servants. But if these protests have shown us anything, and I've been quite shocked by it, because I thought the nation was kind of fatigued with it all. But again, even looking at the various protests today around the country where people are just coming out in and of themselves and are marching, like, I haven't seen those numbers in a long fucking time. So I think where this has been really beneficial is that it hasn't been labelled as far right or a racist protest.
Try as they may.
It's just not happening, because the farmers and the hauliers,
and just
they have real
ordinary
currency
people.
with the people.
Yeah,
and it's not. I hate to say this now, but it's not a bunch of fucking scangers jumping up and down, shouting, get them out, get them out, get them out, get them out. And that's not to shit on them.
Oh, we need,
but just just for the general public, when they look at that, for a so-called respectable person, it's like, I will have nothing to do with that whatsoever. Now, in the privacy of their own home, they may feel like, well, we need to do something about this immigration problem, but I'm not fucking joining that. They'll be, sacked in the morning. There'll be a pariah in their social group. It's just not going to going to happen.
Can I stop you for a sec? I need to piss like nothing ever before.
Okay. Put some music on me. I'll make a cup of tea.
All right. Okay. All right. But we'll pick it up where we left off for sure, because this is interesting. I am going to play once again. I don't care if you don't like it, folks. I'm going to play the Ballad of Ivor
so easily undone.
Ah, fuck you.
Down by Whitegate's iron gate, where the grey sky kissed the sea, stood a line of weary men and those who would not flee. The rain came down like judgment, cold upon the wire, but a stubborn spark was kindling in the belly of the fire. They spoke of aid for wounded hands, for engines of the brave. So the road was split for mercy's sake, as honor's code would save. But while eyes were turned and duty bent, beneath the careful lie, another wheel came rolling in beneath the watchful sky. Climbed the tanker high with the tricolor in hand, and it roared against the silence like a storm across the land. Fuck the globalists, he cried, so every soul could understand. Their upcry below took up the cry as only free men can. The line held firm with plastic shields and weapons at their side, but the men behind those visors had nowhere left to hide. For a laugh escaped the corner where the humans still remained, and the rain washed clean the posture that the uniform had trained. He stood up high up on that iron beast, half rebel, half a fool, but roaring like a priest. We roared it back, our spirits overfilled, and one man's voice gave shape to all we'd willed. Ivor climbed the tanker high with the tricolor in hand, and it roared against the silence like a storm across the land. Fuck the globalists, he shouted, hear it echo man to man, and the crowd below took up the cry as only free men can. They called him down with careful words, with law and weight and threat, and they held his ground a moment more, lying you don't forget, that like the old tales often go, and numbers seal the day, he yielded not in spirit, though his body gave away. So remember Whitegate's rainy hour when the lines were drawn that day, not for who controlled the roadway, but who would speak and stay, for battles turn, break and fade as all their kind have done. But truth one's voice before them all is not so easily undone.
Alright, in hindsight, that was shit. Sorry, folks, for subjecting you to that. Jesus Christ, I need to revisit the drawing board on that one.
That's
Do I
your
hear you,
latest.
Morgan? What's that?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
So was you talking about your latest artistic endeavor?
Yeah, I really wanted to honor Ivor, you know?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we can nickname him Ivor Mecton or something like that.
Jesus Christ.
Good antidote to the current trouble. Yeah, did
Fuck the
anybody hear anything
globalists!
about what?
Sorry. Fuck the globalists is what I shouted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I just had a quick look at the chat. So
All right.
Karen Mack or something was saying, "What's wrong with Scangers?" She's one.
Oh,
That's what's wrong with Scangers, Karen.
what?
You're one. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with Scangers. I wasn't saying that.
No.
That's half the problem. All you heard was me say that, people don't like Scangers. You didn't hear me qualify by saying, there's nothing wrong with Scangers. It's just the impression people have. It's the Dublin accent.
Yeah.
The working class Dublin accent that grates on people. Secret is, Karen, I'm a Scanger too.
He is.
I just lost the accent over the years. That's all.
Yeah, posh
So I
boy.
come from a long line of Scangers. Yeah, people think I'm from, I'm a D4 posh boy, because I'm, handsome, charming, and witty. It's an easy mistake to make. I'll admit that myself in all modesty. Anyway, I'm talking shite. And Crispy was looking for a fight. He was hoping for a fight. But I think he's been spoiled with Jadar and what's the other fella's name? Jim Bob.
Ah, yeah. Jim Bob. Made by Jim Bob. Yeah.
Yeah. And
I figured out he's not as clever as everyone thought he was. He got owned there a week or two ago.
Oh, what happened? I'm not aware. I heard you mention it on another show, but what transpired?
Well, he met his match in philosophical discourse, because you see, the thing is that these guys generally debate people without philosophical training, right? So it's easier to get one over on them with the question of like, well, where is your morality rooted? It's just something you make up, but I'm not gonna try to rehash the retort to that was made by two separate people in the space of a week, about 2 weeks ago. It's just like the transcendental argument for God, right? Where the transcendental argument actually makes a lot of sense, but when you add God to the end of that, I'm sorry, Crispy, and everyone else who believes in tag, you're just adding a level of redundancy there that doesn't need to be added. Like, so who made God? That is the most simple way of debunking that whole thing. Is the old bullshit level atheist challenge of, well, if God made the universe, then who made God? But that actually has some weight to it. So if God made the normative rules of the universe, then who made God, who made the normative rules of the universe? You could go back infinite regression with that.
I've noticed that as well. In their defense, I don't think they deny that. I've heard them mention it a couple of times, that they're aware that ultimately they're going to come up against a wall and run into infinite regress. They just accept that you can't. There's a certain point where nobody can go beyond. But the argument is essentially that that if it's not grounded in a God, well, then everything else becomes incoherent, and that's what I get from it. In effect, that the transcendental argument for God has it's a much better coherent argument than anything else. So if there is no God in effect, well then, if there is no kind of guiding principle behind the whole of existence, but then it just falls into incoherence, especially
Right.
with moral,
But
again,
what about just the transcendental argument, as in there's just an overarching normative,
yeah,
which
but again, you'd still have to refer to it to some kind of godlike entity,
do you?
Again, it's not something I'm terribly familiar with. I've watched some of their debates, and my knowledge around theology is dog shit, to be honest. But I
Okay.
didn't know Jim Bob. Sorry, go on.
No, sorry, no, I was agreeing.
Uh, Thank you, you smart arse bastard. Yeah, I didn't think Jim Bob engaged in the transcendental argument, or I thought he was more interested in evolution and.
Well, he never mentions it by name, but he always asks, "Okay, so like, what tells me what's right and wrong?" Oh, so it's just some shit you made up that tells me what's right and wrong. Well, what if I make up that, I like to eat babies and, everyone else agrees with that? Does that mean it's right? That kind of thing. He also used the Sentinelese, that tribe where the males induct the younger males by getting them to suck their dicks.
No, I wasn't aware of that drawing. But,
Yeah,
fair
there's
enough.
some weird fucking tribe that makes young men suck the bigger men's dicks, and that's how they become men, right? It's fucking weird, man. So he says, well, is that normal? Like everyone agrees in that tribe that it's normal. So is that normal? Like, why is that not normal? If depending on how they answer, is oh, it's normal for them. Well, then I guess there's no grounds for telling me what's good or right. So if there is no grounds for telling me what's good or right, then how come my Christian people can't just enforce what we think is normal on you? Like, what's stopping us from doing that? Well, it's just not right. Well, tell me why it's not right, because you just said little children can suck adult dick, Like, I get
Yeah,
it,
I know it does. Yeah, but that's, I mean, it's difficult, and a lot of it is heuristic as well, and that constant getting people to constantly define every single fucking word. It's not a genuine dialectic from what I've
No.
looked at, and it's not. I don't think it's supposed to be. Like, they're apologists in anyway, so let's face it. It's not like it's
Oh, yeah.
okay. We're coming in here to find out, well, what's the actual truth.
Oh, yeah. None of these debates are about that. No, it's like, I'm
Yeah,
going to prove that I'm right. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I watched one. I'll send you on the link. And I must say, I liked it. It's very entertaining to watch. And like I said, it's useful for me around theology, because like I said, I had a shitty Catholic upbringing. It's something I've never really been interested in. But the other guy, what's his fucking name?
Dyer?
Andrew Wilson.
Ah. Oh.
No, I remember talking to you about the guy who he has the live streams, and he does very well on the live streams. So he's off that ilk as well. So he goes on to that podcast. What's it called? What If, or something like that. Where they have a group of OnlyFans girls, and then
Okay.
they have other guests on it. So the ones I've seen is Andrew and whoever the host's name is. But again, they have these discussions, like, so the topic might be around the feminism, or why aren't women having children and all that kind of shit. And so then they will make their case for, why it's a good thing, the women, why it's a good thing for women to be on OnlyFans and to remain single and not be dependent on a man. And then you'll have Andrew on, who will argue against, and again, do the same thing, the same kind of script, and, point out the absurdity of their positions. And a lot of time it does, it's a good tactic for an heuristic debate, is just to kind of reduce things down to absurdity, But I like it just because I think behind it all, Like I think the Christian ethic is a good ethic, you know. It can't be denied. It's a pretty decent fucking system, let's be honest. And if it was to go, and what would we replace it with? I can't really think of a better one. So you know, I don't think it should be done away with at all. But besides the point, I'm going to fucking wander now. But that's what essentially he does. It's the same kind of tactic as Jim Bob. It's, you know, constant questioning and asking for justification and definitions of words and kind of continuous hectoring and badgering. And not all the time, but sometimes it's good because a lot of people will come to the debates and kind of haven't considered any sort of philosophical questioning because they're not coming from a philosophical background. So it's a bit of an ambush in that sense.
Yep.
There's no real dialectic or, you know, I think a lot of people come on just thinking, okay, well, we're just going to have a normative debate and it's not going to get pulled into the weeds of fucking metaphysics and meta-ethics. Like, you know, that's a very specialized field and it's not a fair fight, let's be honest. So I think if you really want to have that discussion, you would want to talk to an actual professor, somebody who's, you know, well versed in the subject, and then have an actual dialectic with them. But that's not the stick, like, so, and that's pretty fucking boring for people. It's not entertaining at all. But what Andrew does is he'll go on to kind of TikTok spaces. He calls them raids. So I'm not familiar with TikTok at all, but just watching this, so there's usually groups of various liberals or left-leaning people, and they're having these conversations. And they put up these kind of challenges, you know, like explain to me why MAGA shouldn't be killed or something fucking like that. I'm getting tired now, so I don't have difficulty thinking. And then Andrew will go on as somebody else because he's done this a long time. He's a very distinct voice, so people will almost know immediately who he is. And essentially will destroy them. And a lot of times it's a good thing because some of the nonsense these people are talking about needs to be called out and it needs to be dismantled. But I don't think they're really going to take any heed. I don't think it's going to change their mind about anything. It just makes for good entertainment. But one of the times he went onto a stream, I don't know if it was TikTok or YouTube, but the guys put up... I think it was, you know, a challenge like something saying like, you know, like communism is terrible or something. I don't know exactly. I'm not doing a very good job of explaining it. But so Andrew got into the debate with this 20-year-old guy who was an objectivist, you know, and he's had kind of debates with objectivists before and didn't kind of, you know, I don't think the debate was won, but from a kind of outsider perspective because of the heuristic, it could be said like, well, he did better because he got in more zingers, you know, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But this 20-year-old objectivist fucking destroyed him. I mean, like I've never seen like it was embarrassing. Like I don't know how he did it. Like it's a study piece, but Andrew essentially he started like, you know, making arguments for communism and fucking. I can't do it justice. I'll send you the link later.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll have to pull that one apart. Yeah. It's
sorry, we've gone way off the reservation.
Well, all to say, you know, rhetoric and finesse does not a ultimate argument make.
No. It doesn't. And so the objective should be the truth. But those guys, they are, you know, Christian apologists and of the orthodox kind. So that's what they do, you know.
Well, it's also it's their job.
Yeah.
You know? So that counts for something, you know.
Make a decent living from it, and they're excellent at it. Like, you know, excellent. And you know, that's just me picking on the kind of negative side of it, but it's very interesting. And you know, I like Jay Dyer a lot as well because he doesn't just focus on that. So he'll go into a lot of geopolitics and quote unquote conspiracy, but he would be one of the better kind of again, quote unquote conspiracy theorist, because he looks at it from a kind of, well, again, quote unquote academic
Yep.
side. So it would be much more grounded in evidence than 99% of it. And he's a funny cunt as well, like, so.
Oh yeah, yeah. He is some singers. That Jay
Yeah,
Dyer.
and an intelligent dude. But yeah. Anyway, that's why I don't read the chat, because it's so easy to get fucking distracted with it. Can you remember what it even was?
So that the okay, so we went from civic engagement to who really shouldn't even be able to vote. I think, I don't know. There's scangers involved anyway.
Yeah, so we can't have any scangers in the time.
Oh yeah. You know, the protest movement. You know, and who was involved in it, and yeah.
Yeah, I think we reached like the replacement government. So what will the next government
Yeah,
consist of?
there you go.
Yeah, so we're probably looking at some sort of left alliance, and then how will that look in terms of an economic outlook? Will it be any different in effect from what's already there, bar the rhetoric? I know all of a sudden Sinn Féin aren't in favour of a carbon tax anymore, where they previously were, and factored it into all their previous budgets. But that will change.
Oh yeah, they change with the wind. I mean, come on, Jesus.
Because that's what it's about. And then they will be faced with the reality of the job that's entailed in running a government, And when they get there, which I'm sure they already know, like that, even when you get there, like your sphere of influence is going to be restricted as well, because it's not like it's a kingship where you just arrive in the door and it's like, okay, well, here's the Cree X and the Cree Y, let's go. So there'll be limits put on that as well. For me, with a left-leaning alliance, it's going to be more around kind of social issues. That's going to be the big fucking issue, with their continued support of things like abortion and trans rights, and I think that's going to be a big stumbling block for a lot of people as well. They're not going to be able to hold their nose and go, okay, well, I know it couldn't really get any worse, and I know these people are really, morally opposed to a lot of their social stances, but how bad could it really fucking be? And so the only hope would be independence, I suppose, but then that's really a wild card, So I don't know. So I think the best we can hope for, or the next winnable situation, is going to be the collapse of the government, so to speak. I know it's not what you're looking for. I know it's not a total collapse of society, but that may follow due to other factors. Yeah, so yeah, but again, it's a difficult conversation to have at the moment, because everybody is kind of hyper focused on events as they stand, and it's like we must bring the country to its knees. But again, I don't think people are really advocating for that. I just think they want to bring this particular government to its knees, but be under no delusion that they will kick you off the street. They will put the army on the street if they have to, because that's the role of government, and if anything threatens the security or functioning of the state, it's the state's job to do it. And if you likely ended up there yourself in the position, you'd be faced with the exact same dilemma, and you have limited options. And
well, I would consider myself to be cursed, and I would probably plead for repentance and forgiveness from the highest authority in the universe.
Dude, if you actually ended up in government, like, people would be getting executed by the fucking thousands within a week. Like, the power would go straight to your fucking dome. Like, it would be pure fucking chaos. There'd be public executions in the streets. your list of grievances would go straight down to Garda headquarters. Okay, this
There's
fucker,
this-
this fucker, this fucker.
There's this terrible fucking thing that we've got into our heads that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's not true. I don't think that's true. Power corrupts, yes, but it's not uniform across all people and civilizations and across time. I think there are eras that human beings pass through. You know, we just happen to be in a pretty shit one right now, and I think there are people out there who can actually handle power. You know.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying they can't. I was just talking about you personally.
Oh,
not
oh,
other
okay.
people.
All right. Fuck's sake.
Yeah. And I don't fucking know. Like, you know, people have limited power. Again, I wouldn't agree with that either. That it's not necessarily true that power corrupts, or you know, and after it can have an effect. Like, you know,
Oh, yeah.
it's heady to have power over people and things. But really, that would come through, you know, moral instruction. You know, what you actually do with power. So, but again, we're not taught to think about those things, especially as going through school, or maybe if you know, go on to college and you study philosophy or something like that. Well, then it will come up in general discussion. But the average citizen isn't really presented with that kind of ideal. Well, you know, well, what is power? How does one handle power? Who should handle power? There's, you know, it's just not a concept. And maybe it's just dull as dishwater, like both fucking 15-year-olds. Well, it would be more interesting, wouldn't it, than sitting there learning rote about fucking the geography of Holland. You know, ethics and morals, and which would be more useful? Really, a good old-fashioned classical education, or the modern education of 80% nonsense and 20% obedience training. You know, that's not a
You know what? Yeah, actually, your tongue-in-cheek comment about Holland, literally, like, one of my 5 memories out of primary school is something about some kid sticking his finger in a dike.
Oh yeah, yeah. But the reason I remember Holland is because that's what I actually learned in school. In I think it was the humanities class.
All right.
We had to do a project on the Zuiderzee project in Holland, which is the dam system they have, because, you know, it's lowland. A lot of the land is below sea level, and it was prone to constant flooding. And being Dutch people, they actually fucking did something about it. You know, imagine that. Being below sea level and being able to solve the problem of living below the sea level. And here in good old Ireland, it fucking rains for half a day, and it's like, oh my God, what do we do? Someone get some plastic bags and sand. Oh, let's build houses on the rivers.
Yeah.
What can go wrong? Yeah, and I was looking at Holland as well. Like, there's a lot that can be learned from fucking agriculture from Holland, because obviously, you know, everyone's worried about food supply, as they should be, if things don't fucking sort themselves out in the Iran. You know, it's not irrational to think about that in any fucking way, shape, or form. So I was looking at kind of some stats about food security in Ireland, because I wasn't sure. Well, I kind of knew that we're not entirely food secure in Ireland. You know, we're not self-sufficient in many fucking ways. But as far as you know, cattle goes, and pigs, sheep, we're in a good shape. So I think, if I can remember, I think with cattle, it was like we produce like 287%. So, you know, we produce double what we actually need to sustain the nation. Obviously, a lot of that is export and money for farmers. Pretty much, I think it was like 87% for pigs. I don't know why that's the case with pigs. And then I think for sheep again it was something like 187%. Poultry was low, it was kind of 60 something percent, and that's all good. So we would have more than enough kind of protein and calories to keep us going, as long as they didn't decide to export all the food out of the country. There wouldn't. It's not like the precedents, when the people go hungry. But I always found that, and I kind of thought, well, that should be the case because we have a fairly big beef industry. And then I was looking at, obviously, people would soon get tired of the entirely meat-based diet, or what do they call it? What's the meat-based diet called? Isn't there a name for it? Carnivore diet.
Carnivore, yep.
Yeah. Then I was having a look at fruit and veg, and obviously for fruit and veg, it's not the country to be growing fruit and veg. You'd be lucky if you get a fucking apple off your tree at the end of the season, let alone, trying to go oranges and lemons and grapes and what have you.
I got a few peas last year.
I know, it's tragic, isn't it? I remember when I was planting the vegetable patch out here, like in hopes of being able to, live off the results of the crop for a month or two. And it was like 3 fucking days, like 3 dinners, and it's like, what? Gone already? Like, how much land do you fucking need? Like, I thought like having 5 pots and a couple of raised beds would do me for the year. But no. And so I think for potatoes, we're pretty much okay.
Oh yeah, those are relatively easy. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a good history of that. So we produce more potatoes than we need as long as the weather's cool. And I think carrots was okay, but that was essentially it. Everything else where it has to be imported, primarily from Spain,
Yeah.
But that's where it gets worrying for people if they don't have access to all those niceties. And so then the bigger problem with the beef is one of feed. So I think we produce about something like 35 to 39% of our own feed for various form of livestock, and then we have to import the rest from differing countries. But our government, they do have a plan in place, like so. Chagas want to increase arable land for feed, so we can get up to, I think it's 59% self-sufficient within the next 10 years. So that's it's good to know that they're thinking of our food security on some level. But thinking to Holland, I remember I was into hydroponics for a while. I'm sure there's a couple of listeners out there who are probably into hydroponics as well at some stage in their late 20s. But what these guys can do with hydroponics is fucking incredible. Like the amount of fruit and vegetables these guys produce with hydroponic systems is unbelievable. Like they export fucking massive amounts.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of fruit coming from Holland in the stores. Yeah.
Yeah, most of your tomatoes as well. Like, so they have these like giant fucking indoor greenhouses, and it's just this massive industrial complex that produces all this fruit. Now, I don't know what the issue is around with hydroponics, what type of fertilizers they use, and if it has actually any negative effects on the food itself. But I don't think it would be too much different because I don't know how or if it can be classified as organic if it's grown in a greenhouse in a hydroponic system. But there's enough food out there in the general food chain that's grown in the soil and it's still fucking decimated with fertilizers and what have you, But again, it would be comforting to know, wouldn't it, that, where you would have a government that has these things in order, that actually thinks long term about the needs of the country and proper fucking infrastructure instead of stroke politics. I think that's the big problem with that, and that's the kind of argument for the future, that if we have a highly educated citizenry that has the actual requisites
to be able to govern. Well, then if we have a bigger pool of people to fucking choose from, well, then it would follow that the politicians we get would be of a much higher standard, you know. Now, that might be pie in the fucking sky.
Yeah. It just kind of sounds like the base proposition of democracy, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it's true, you know, like a proper fucking polity, you know, but we have the kind of degenerate form, or close enough to the degenerate form of democracy. But you would think that, you know, a country would have an interest in producing the best type of citizens that it possibly could, you know.
Yeah.
Or at least have some sort of schooling system set up that would be, you know, pushing people into it and training them in statecraft and what have you. But I think it would be better for the general population to have some instruction in it. Obviously, there's people who are going to excel at it, and not everybody's going to want to be interested in politics or statecraft. But I do generally believe that if people had a better understanding of it, including myself, as it always sounds like I'm fucking pontificating, but I include myself in fucking 99% of what I'm saying. I'm always talking to myself as well. And next week I'll probably forget all of it and then just, you know, scratching my balls like and go, oh yeah, all that fucking normal thing I was doing, like, oh fuck it, like, you know, the world's gonna end anyway, so what's the fucking point? But yeah, there's nothing wrong with a bit of idealism every now and again.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, no, totally. Yeah, I think a much more clued in and self-sufficient populace is, you know, the ideal. When I was in the latter years of primary school, which was the end of the 90s, the common purpose stuff was like really settling in with the teachers. And I got the tail end of like the civics, kind of real civics class of like, this is how your country runs kind of thing. And it was really pushing towards, let's find, isolate and encourage the yappers, you know, that can fucking influence others. That is what our society has been, you know, geared towards for 30 years now. Bigsby, shut up. I'm not talking to you. My phone's AI thought I was talking to it.
I was like, Bigsby. I was saying, who the fuck is Bigsby? Has he got a butler? Like, what's happening? Like, what are you not telling him?
But isn't that creepy, though? Anyway, so thing is, right, is that what you just described there is already happening in Russia. It's been happening in Russia for 25, 30 years, where there's this, a government that can see into the future, and they make plans to change society to accommodate the people of the future. It's just that they made one mistake, and they kind of relied on immigration for a while, and it's not turning out well, and they're just figuring that out for some reason, probably because they kept arresting, you know, the citizens who were protesting against it. But anyway, but they figured it out, and the thing is, you know, it's called Putinism, right? Where Russians, they're not really interested in politics because life is just getting better for them as the days, weeks, months go by. So why would they be interested in politics? They're like, okay, you know, the Tsar is in charge. I don't need to care about it. I'm not going to protest against him. You know, he seems to be know what he's doing. So these things happen, like, that this happens in the world, in history. It, like, the world we live in isn't a archetypal of all of existence. We actually are living in a pretty fucked up world under some really weird people, man. Like, they have
Yeah, but no one understand
agendas,
nothing
they're
because,
taking
honestly.
orders, and they're not so bright.
Well, again, you can say that. Like, but again, like that's a vast sweeping statement. Like for me, I don't know, maybe your life is terrible. There are obviously problems, but on a day-to-day basis, my life is pretty decent. Maybe I'm spoiled, but or maybe I just don't let it bother me. I just don't think on it so much.
Eh,
Um, but from what I can see, the world has always been pretty much fucked up. Like,
all right.
on several, like I think back to my mother's childhood in Ireland. My mother's life in Ireland was fucking terrible. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, pure fucking struggle. Like,
Yeah.
kicked out the fucking work at 12. Born in a tenement house in Dublin city centre with fucking like I think 9 people in a one, like what would be considered a bed sit. The tenement was packed with other fucking families. One toilet
Uh-huh.
at the back of the tenement for everybody. If she lost her job, that was it. There was no kind of safety net. And
Right.
it was fucking terrible. Like, but
Yeah.
by today's comparison, it's much better. Like, economically,
Right.
it is. So I just
Oh,
think that.
look, okay, all right, yeah, okay. So, your mother's experience in Russia was basically the same as a woman of her age in Russia, except more toilets and a safety net. Like, that's it. But like, the Russian experience over the last 30 years is I have more money in my pocket than I did the last year. Can you say that for yourself?
Pretty much the same amount of money. Well, I haven't worked it out, no, so probably
Okay.
not taking everything into account.
Yeah, and
You
you
know,
have growing children, so it's kind of hard to. Oh yeah, and you have a new child like every 2 or 3 years or something. So it's hard for
yeah.
you
Well, at least
to.
I'm having fucking children. Trying to replace the population instead of all you fucking celibates out there, like, who just won't do the right thing and join a fucking monastery and get it done with, like, and or just have some good fucking use, waiting for the world to burn down so you can feel happy. Oh, I knew it was going to happen eventually. Yes, I'm right about the world burning. Oh, great. When's Putin? When's Putin flying over? When's Daddy Russia flying over to treat me like the long lost son that I fucking am? Um, I don't know what's going on in fucking Russia. I know you're, heavily um, into all things Russian
Yeah,
and
but,
probably
but
wish
but
you
this
were.
is a fact, though. The average Russian has more money in his pocket every year for the last 30 years, man.
Based on what, though?
Uh,
Again, based on what?
m-
Sources, man. I need sources.
uh, GDP for one, and
What's the GDP of
what's
this?
the other one? The what do you call purchasing power parity? Yeah. So
Bring up the
when you
figures.
take,
Bring up the figures.
you have
Bring
to.
up the comparative figures between Russia and Ireland per capita.
You mean the country that offered fucking is point sorry 1% tax to foreign corporations? Yeah. Yeah, you want to compare those countries?
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Don't be using GDP as a metric.
From what I hear from many different Russians, they have more money in
Exactly.
their pockets every year. Yeah.
Have you considered talking to people who have issues with Putin
Well, I
within
mean,
Russia. Like,
the economy isn't one of their issues. The economy, sorry, that their issues are like, well, I don't agree with the war, or Putin's just a dictator, and or I don't like immigration, so Putin's like anti-white. It's never the economy. Trust me. Have you seen St. Petersburg today? Like it's glorious. It's a monument to the country. Do we have anything like that?
Sorry?
Do we have anything
have
like
any?
that? Like,
Here?
yeah, I'm like a city that lives as a monument to the country.
No, of course not.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean,
Well,
it.
yeah, but is that your criteria for a country?
Well, what is this term? Something consumption. Like where in evolutionary terms, right? If a creature has more resources, or can at least expend resources more than it produces, ubiquitous consumption, is that what it is? Where, like, in order to attract a mate, it just goes all out, and it shows, look how rich I am, even though it's not necessarily that rich, but that's what it can fucking do. That's what nations are capable of. You have fucking Washington DC, that's one. London used to be an example of that, when before they gave up their empire.
Dublin was the second city in the empire.
Yeah,
the
and
architecture
then
of Dublin
and
is
then
pretty
we
impressive.
left the empire, and then what? We built a big stick. Oh yeah, great.
This is what should we? Are you making an argument that we should have stayed in the empire? Careful.
No, but I mean, maybe we could have made it an Irish empire. We're
Well, there you go. Well, now you're getting into dangerous territory, because now we're going to. Well, I'll turn to Israel situation around. Should Ireland mimic Israel? Like, should we, like, similar sized populations? Have we got something to learn from them?
I
And the thing with
suppose,
Russia,
yeah. Go on.
I would love to go to Russia. I've never been,
Mm.
but I don't know what it would be like to actually live in Russia. I don't, and I would have issues with conscription as well. I don't think that's a particularly attractive proposition. How many people have died now in that war? Is it like 1.2 million or something fucking ridiculous?
No, they did the numbers, and it's like on the Russian side, it's kind of like 1,200, and on the Ukrainian side, it's like 1,800.
What?
Yeah.
5
Yeah.
years of war and only 2,000 people? I can't believe that for a fucking instant.
But you see, the thing is that you have two sides pumping out propaganda about how much the other side has lost. So you have
what's the neutral? Where are the figures coming from that you have?
there a source. Wait, hold on. I'll pull up the name of the guy who two guys. Fuck, I need to remember that name. But they did independent research, which included social media posts, obituary website things, and other social media sources. And they were impartial. They looked at both sides, and they came to the conclusion, like, it's just a few thousand. See, it's a different type of war. We're thinking fucking World
Hang
War
on a
One,
minute. You can't
World
just
War
skip by
Two.
that fucking rope. You can't just skip by that ropey data like that. Somebody looked at a couple of social media posts and obituaries.
We're talking about
And
months of research. Okay, all right. On the other side, right, we have wait, fuck, what's that? BBC supported source for years now, and it's got a Slavic name. I forget it, but they do that, right? They look at social media posts. That's their primary source, and that is the primary source that Ukraine uses for how many Russians died. And they're, coming up with all sorts of figures. So, who are you going to trust? What's likely the fucking MI6 or, two guys who did months of research online?
neither, because what I would need to do, like to make a proper determination on it, is look at those guys' actual research, the BBC's research, and then cross-reference it with as much other data as possible, and then come to some sort of formula to get a true number. But I just, I can't believe that a war would go on for how many years now?
4 years.
4 years, and there's only like 2,500 casualties. That's bananas. Like, that's fucking.
Well, what I was going to say is that for all of our lives, we've been brought up on movies and history about World War One, World War Two, the Vietnam War, where it was just guys running around shooting each other. But now we have satellite imagery and we have fucking drones, man, right? So you can't just send guys out into a field and advance, right? Because whether it's Russian or Ukrainian, the enemy drones are just going to come and fucking murder you, So this is why, people say, oh, Russia couldn't even take over Ukraine after all these. Well, it takes fucking time when there's these birds, mechanical birds whirring around murdering you, okay? So, there's a population crisis, just like in the rest of Europe, in Russia, right? Where there's not enough Russians being made. And the Kremlin knows this, They're not just gonna fucking throw out the flower of their nation to get murdered,
Well, I've looked, like I've looked at like social media footage of soldiers being blown up by drones and action in the field, and I've seen a lot of people being killed, not in the thousands, like. But I find it incredulous to believe that only 2,500 people have died in 4 years of war, and I don't think it would be a factor or a real consideration. Well, we don't want to send our people to fight a war, but we're going to fight a war for 4 years. Like, so if you're not doing it with people, it's there are people fucking going there. So I'll do some research, but find the name of those guys, because
I will do. Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't pass peer review, put it that way, to fucking say two guys have done some study on social media and obituaries, and like, okay, case fucking closed.
But if let's just say all the sources these guys have found were the only credible sources out there for the people who have died, like, you'd have to accept that, right? Because there's no other
that's a big
source.
If, though. Like,
yeah.
So let's look at Gaza. How many people died in Gaza?
Well, I mean, you're talking about a gigantic detention camp. I mean, and it's all
how many
rubble.
people died? How many people died in Gaza? What's the accepted figure?
Isn't it like 2 million, 3 million? I'm not sure.
I don't know. So again, like, so using the same criteria, how would we determine?
Yeah, but see, the only authority is what do they call them? The health authority or something. And then everyone outside of the Middle East says, excluding Israel, says, "Oh, this is Hamas's organization. We can't
Mind
trust
that.
those
Back,
figures."
back to the figures issue.
Okay,
Who's the accepted authority for, deaths in Gaza? So if we can find out who that
the
is, and if we accept
the
that,
health
and
ministry run by Hamas.
that's the worldwide accepted figure.
Well, yeah, but except for Israel, the United States, and a few European countries, yeah.
But you can't just accept. Okay, well, we're going to accept the word of Hamas because they're not biased in any way, or they wouldn't want to present to the world incorrect figures.
Right. Well, I mean,
because
that's what
they're
the U.S.
good
and Israel say, but like, who else are you gonna
But
trust?
the mind with the US, think of it logically, like, if you're in a war, what are you not going to engage in propaganda? It's just the other side that would only engage in propaganda.
I mean, I have no horse in this race when it comes to Palestine. I just think it's wrong to bomb
It's wrong, but we're not
children.
talking about if it's wrong.
But outside of that, like, I don't know. I don't know how many people in Gaza died.
I know, but then it's like saying with Russia, like that again. Based on these two guys' data,
Yeah.
like that's not going to be accepted by anybody other than somebody who's fucking
Well, then,
highly
like,
partisan.
is there some kind of like universal force, like God, who comes down and says, "I anoint your research to be absolute truth"? Like, is that how it
No,
works?
but there's generally recognized organizations that are relied upon, and obviously you can't say, well, it's incredibly accurate, but it would hold more weight than two random guys who we don't know who they are. And it wouldn't surprise me if one of his name was fucking Dimitri, and the other guy's name was Boris. Like, and they're both living in fucking St. Petersburg. Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
come on, like,
one is for certain French living in France, and he uses voice on the screen, so but I get what you're saying, but the thing is that you're talking about one of the most politically contentious wars in the last century, right? So yeah, you're going to have one side that says yes, one side that says no. So you're left with what?
You're left with gathering as much data as you can collect from independent sources, and then you correlate that, and you get an average, and that may be the best you can get. But you can't say in good faith, well, I'm going to dismiss everyone else in the world except for these two random fucking dudes who are correlating data from social media and obituaries and present that to the world as fact that only 2,500 people have died in 4 years of war between Russia and Ukraine. Because then I might as well say, well, I can see these two fucking guys, one lives in Germany for sure, and he's come up with a figure of 1,500 people in Gaza only died. And then who in the right mind is going to accept that as, a standard of proof? Like,
well, a good clue is that there hasn't been a dude in Germany who said, only 1,200 people in Gaza have died.
Well, I don't know if there's a dude that you said in France, because you can't provide.
I'm trying to remember the dude's channel name. Because I'm in the middle of having a conversation and listening to.
Down.
God forbid I don't have all the my brain is full of 1,000 different data points, and I just need to bring this one data point out of compression.
Bring any data
taken a
point
while.
out, like, instead of fucking, going left, right, and center, like. But that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't seriously make a claim that only 2,500 people died based on some dude who's in France, and they correlated their data from social media. Like, what kind of system did they use to check that the social media posts were accurate, and that the obituaries were accurate? Like, where did
Well,
they get
the only
from?
the
What's
only kind
what's
of
the methodology?
inaccuracy. Well, I read through the methodology and I was satisfied. It's just this was like 2 months ago, so I can't recall this for you. However, I can bring it back up for you if I can fucking have 5 seconds to think for a second and find it again. But no, that's not good enough for you.
Well, you can have all the time you want. Go ahead.
All right, go on then. You entertain the audience well, I think.
Okay. I don't know how I'm going to entertain the audience. But
well,
yeah.
Now you know what it's like to be put on the spot, nigga.
Yeah, but I'm going to do it anyway. So if you're supposed to be busy looking for your fucking peer-reviewed Facebook posts, yeah. So in my line of thinking, you can't present Facebook posts and a smattering of obituaries and then present it to the world as fact that only 2,500 people died in a war that's going on for the last 4 years. And especially when Ukraine there's numerous footage of people being dragged off the streets to go and fight in the war. For what? Like, what? Are they just sending guys in to fucking dance for the drone troops? It would seem a kind of a bit of a mismatch if you have to, take people off the fucking streets to get them to go and fight when there's only, what's that, like 2,500 people. So
right. How many of those videos have you seen, though?
I don't know, maybe 20, 30.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
But again, if there's only like fucking 2,500 people dying in a 4-year period, why would you need to kidnap anybody off the fucking streets? What have they got, like a population of 8,000 people?
Maybe nobody is showing up. Maybe all the Nazis have died, and.
But there's only 2,500 people, who've died on both sides. So there's only like, if you split it down the middle, it's very small numbers that have died on the Ukrainian side. So.
Oh wait, no, wait, hang on. I actually got it off by a factor of 100. Sorry. So we're talking 155,000 Russians and 170,000 Ukrainians.
That's
right.
a bit of a difference.
It's still, you don't say.
Just a smidgen, like God forbid we accept your Facebook and value, or anything,
All right.
I still don't trust it because, again, it has to be, see the methodology. And the problem with obituaries is because people try to correlate deaths from obituaries during COVID. And the problem was that a lot of the data was duplicated. So, when people do up obituaries, it might be like duplicated within the obituary. Like they might have printed the obituary twice, and it's not a very good source of data.
Right, but the tendency is that obituaries, etc., can be duplicated, but you can't really control for reduction. Here's what the site says. Methodology note: casualty figures are compiled from publicly available sources, including obituaries, social media posts, and official announcements. Each death is certified with the name and death date as well as social media link to funeral/obituary. These figures represent the minimum number of confirmed fatalities. Actual figures may be higher due to unreported casualties and classification restrictions. It couldn't be that big of a difference. Let's say we're talking 1 million at the absolute highest. All right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so that's not abhorrent. Like,
I mean, for 4 years,
a million
doing
people.
pretty good.
1 million people. Sorry.
For 4 years, doing pretty good.
Hang on a minute. Like 5 minutes ago, you were saying it was 2.5 fucking thousand, so it was nothing. Now you're saying, well, now that it's 1 million, like that's not bad. Like those numbers are fine. I thought it would be higher. Like,
Yeah.
what do you do?
Well, I mean, I had thought it could be
Well, no,
higher.
2 minutes ago, you were saying like it's only 2,500. Like, so I don't see what the fucking problem is. But it's like, oh, it's 1 million, but that's nothing. Like that's really a small number when you think about it. That's a smaller number than 2,500. Really, when you think of it.
Well, yeah, it is.
It is. 1 million is smaller than 2,500.
Yeah.
How? In what world is 1 million smaller than 2,500?
Sorry, I wasn't listening. I was looking at the site. The only annotations available to the official numbers is below the Ukrainian numbers, which is 170,000. The confirmed deaths is 80,000, and they have 83,000 missing. So,
Well, they must be on holidays or something. Like they must be just chilling out.
They must be here.
Yeah. And so, have they produced their research? Like, so have they produced the documentation where they gather all this?
Yeah. There's a page here for methodology. I'm gonna link this to the chat actually because I assume someone out there would want to fucking see it, and I'll link that to you too. I mean, I can bring it up on screen if you are interested in.
Oh no, I'll look at it later. I won't have a chance to go through the actual data itself. So
yeah.
But how are the guys? What were the guys' names? The two researchers?
I don't know. They only use their screen names on on the web on their platforms. They might put their names on the website itself.
Well, I hope if they're publishing fucking,
they
data,
would want to. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But their faces and their platforms, are
Dr. Dimitri 729 #2350 and Borisovsky 29.
Yeah, okay, point taken, but at least one half of the crew, is a decent fella. He's been delivering military analysis for years now. He knows his shit. He knows what hardware everyone has, and he has a good grasp on tactics and strategy. And I don't know how he came to be a part of this project with this other fella who.
Who's this other fella? You're being very coy about who this other fella is.
What's
his name? Come on.
He's one
Tell
of
me
these.
How Russian is he?
You know what? I don't know. Hang on. Wait. You know what? It's in this. Okay, so. Okay, the video description where I found the link doesn't mention his name. He's one of these open source intelligence accounts that track, if like a missile hit like some bumfuck town in the middle of the Ukraine, then he's able to like pinpoint where it was by the position of the sun and what the weather was like that day, and how the buildings look or something. One of these fucking super autistic people.
All right. Okay. We're taking research from autism. Okay, guys with autism.
Well, I mean look, it's either a guy with autism or a guy that you're paying thousands of euro a month, and whoever is paying him gets to, call the tune. But an autistic person is going to be like, I need to know the absolute fact, or I'm going to actually end up in a mental asylum,
Yeah, well, maybe it's like, and that's assuming we actually we have proof that he is autistic.
Oh, yeah.
we'll need proof for that as well. Like, so I need a doctor's note accompanied with the research to say yes, Dimitri is autistic. He's been headhunted by think tanks and international aid organizations across the planet because his research is second to none.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Right. But it's just as well you're not partisan to Russia, like, because that would be worrying, like, if that was the case. Like, but doesn't Russia actually have a problem once Putin dies? Like, so isn't that the problem with having somebody like
succession crisis, as they call it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one guy, but the public aren't like really well exposed to him, and people are, right to assume that he's not really well trained. I forget who he is. He's in the Kremlin anyway. But you know what? Funny enough, right? You know how North Korea, Kim Jong, whatever the fuck that guy's name is, he's been seen going about with his daughter lately.
No, I haven't been following.
Oh, his daughter, she's as fat as he is. She's a cutie.
One of those good-looking Koreans.
But the rumors are that she is actually the next supreme leader of North Korea, because we see so much of her. This little 14-year-old thing that follows them around, like, obviously. But same as in Russia, right? I think the next Putin is actually one of his daughters. He has 2 daughters, and they are fucking firemen, They're actually more groomed into politics than his assumed successor in the Kremlin. So who knows?
Okay.
Are
they pleasing on the eye as well? Or?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're fucking lost now for the next fucking 2 decades. Like, if ever there was a fucking tipping point, I'm going to make you want to move to Russia now. Like, it's you're going to be simping for Russian or for Putin's daughters.
Yes. Please let me in. I'll suck her toes. Please let me in.
Okay, so $1 million is that's a fine number. So, at what point would it be kind of safe to say, okay, well, maybe you should want to stop the war now? Like, 2 million, 5 million, 10, 20.
The war should have been stopped 4 years ago. But when you keep fucking gassing a country up and filling them with fucking weapons and money and shit, they'll fight forever. Yeah,
it's a sad state of affairs. Like,
way too many Slavs have died.
Yeah, way too many people have fucking died. But it's a sad reality of the world. I think it's pretty much. I remember reading somewhere. I can't remember where. But I think in the last 4,000 years of would there be 4,000 years of recorded history? There would be, wouldn't there? Or maybe 2,000 years. No, 4 seems
3,000. Something like that.
3,000. Okay, there we go.
Well,
Yeah,
I
something
mean, you
like
know,
that.
as in written.
Yeah,
Yeah, like 3,000, yeah.
yeah. So in the last 3,000 years, there's been something like 346 days where there hasn't been a war somewhere. Like on the fucking planet.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So it's like that's the normal state of affairs. Like so, and I think we've been relatively lucky in so much as that we've lived through one of the rare periods in time where there hasn't been that much of a conflict since kind of World War fucking two. But we seem to be getting back around to that again. Yeah, and it's a shame because, as you know, the fog of war will fuck with people.
Oh, yeah. And the fog of war hasn't been as thick as the US Iranian war. Like, jeez. Like, it's hard to tell what is up and down with that one. Jesus.
It's impossible. That's the age we live in where, like, it's, the ability to get fucking propaganda to people from every fucking angle. And even from angles that you wouldn't think about, like, having to deal with fucking social media personalities, influencers, people we fucking have parasocial relationships with and trust.
Yep.
And like you may end up discovering that you're actually talking with some fucking algorithm, or like it's impossible to make a determination based on that. And then even to go down the traditional route of gathering data, like you said, there's, I don't think realistically we can't say there's anybody who doesn't have a stake in the game. And you did say, like, he who pays the piper plays the tune. But I think we would have to recognize that we need to take as many sources as possible and weigh them. But who has a fucking degree in statistics and who has the time really to sit down? But we should do the best we can so we don't get fucking hoodwinked or think that 2,500 is actually a fucking million, dude. What are you
Okay, fair enough. I hold up my hand. It's just, when I just initially saw those figures, I was like, whoa, no, it's not that little. Surely we're talking about millions. Come on. So in my mind, I demonetized it so much that it became a few thousand.
I do it all the time. Like, I do it every time I read something. I've now taken to reading something at least 3 fucking times. Because what I find, like, and especially if it's something that, I have a bias towards. And I even know when I'm reading something when I have a bias towards it, because if it goes against, what I consider to be true at the moment, like, I have to force myself to read it because it's like, this is fucking bullshit, like, because it's not conforming to my current of ideas of how things are, like. So, and as I'm reading the words, like, I will automatically put in words that aren't fucking there, so I have to go back and read something 2 or 3 fucking times, just to make sure that my fucking bias filter is switched off. It's a conflict. Yeah, and the constant fucking looking for data as well. It's just data, and a lot of it is fucking shit. It's just kind of rehashed nonsense that somebody has heard from somebody else, and somebody's heard from somebody else, and somebody's heard from somebody else, and then trying to find an impartial source, even to just get general news from, is almost fucking impossible now. Like, so I think that the only thing I can do is just go to 6 or 7 different places that have a clear bias, and find some that are regarded as not having a bias, and just weigh them all up and take what you can from that, and then every now and again, like you did the other day, is just fucking switch off, because it's like, how much fucking death and misery can people cope with? It's like, then you forget that, well, do you know what? Yeah, the world's a fucking shithole, but if it is ending tomorrow, fuck it. I'm going outside. I'm going for a walk. I'm going to
Mm.
meet some friends. I'm going to spend some time with the kids or the wife, or go for a drive, read a book. I've started reading a lot more lately as well. I forgot how much I fucking enjoyed it, like
Mm.
on different fronts, you know. Um, but the phone and the constant fucking need to update or be updated every 10 seconds. Like that, I had an issue with X where I can't log in on my phone. And the amount of times I reach for that fucking phone to go to X just to see what's happening, and even not even to see what's happening anywhere, just to see if something is happening somewhere. I'm getting irritated with the phone. Why can't I fucking
Something
log
more
in? Like, this is
interesting
ridiculous.
than my life, which
Yeah,
isn't
I
true,
right.
you know. But yeah.
It's not true at all. Like, but it's so fucking easy. Like,
Mm.
it's become habitual.
Mm.
And like, I'm thinking to myself, right, I have to ring X or something, like, because this isn't right. And then I'm thinking, well, is there actually a phone number for X?
Well,
And
yeah,
then so
we've been through that last year when we had Premium X, and our fucking our fucking whatever you call channel or account like predated the transition between Twitter and X, and there was some fucking functionality that wasn't there, and I was like, okay, you know what, I'll go and, you know, use the premium help, and it was just a bot. Or no, it wasn't a bot. No, I said I have this problem. Well, have you looked at the, like, you know, the first thing that you go look at, as in, have you tried turning it off and turning it on again? And then I said, no, actually, I did that, but no, this is really, you know, broken, and I heard nothing. And that's when I decided, on our behalf, we're not paying for this next year.
fuck no, like, so yeah, I think I got caught on my own account where I missed the rollover period. But I can't even tell now because I can't log into the fucking account.
Oh, jeez.
But I have to at least to disable that part where I don't want to get caught again and have it roll over into
Oh,
another
you're
fucking.
still paying? Oh, no, 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 no. You need to get no, 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 no.
Yeah, because I completely forgot about it, like, until I saw the receipt in my fucking email, you know. It's like, well, what? When did that happen? I don't remember getting that. But then again, I don't fucking check email regularly enough, and I don't have notifications on, because who wants to get notifications with like 8 fucking thousand pieces of spam every fucking day? I think I'm closer to most advertisers than I am to people I know, friends and family.
Jesus.
I communicate less with them than the fucking people from Coca-Cola and Home Depot and like. I looked at my fucking Yahoo account the other day.
Hmm.
I think there was like 989,000 unread emails or something.
Fuck.
Ridiculous. Like I've had it for fucking 20 years or something like that. Like, and I just couldn't be, you know, when it gets to a certain fucking point where it's like, I'm not fighting up this fucking email, and I'm not even
Yeah.
just going to delete everything, because there might possibly be something in there that's useful to me in 2 weeks' time. So I'm not touching it at all. All right, so where are we? Jesus
Oh,
Christ, 4 o'clock in the morning. Like, fucking,
I know, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and
10 minutes ago, we had 12 viewers, and now we're down to 7. And we haven't had a chat message in yeah, about 20 minutes. So it's safe to assume that we have 7 listeners, or viewers, but they are listeners because they're asleep. So
yeah.
if we want to take our time to embed some kind of, you know, hypnosis or something, now's the
You
time.
will finally make a donation to the website. Or it's not even a website. Tooting Anti-Broadcast. It has been 5 years of a free trial period. Think of the entertainment you have received over the last 5 years. The state charges you for a television license. For TV you do not watch and will not watch. The anti-broadcast has charged you nothing. Yet you come here week on week, day on, day by day, and refuse to even give €1. Think how that makes us feel. We've put 5 years into this project. Our own expense, time, money, sweat, tears. I've lost time spent with my family to bring you cunts poor entertainment, knowledge, and not a fucking from 99% of you guys. And some of you have, very few. But you need to put your hand in your pocket. Or Stephen steals the money. If you're not paying your TV license, that's nearly 200 quid you've saved a year. What are you going to do with that money? What do you actually need it for? You can't afford fuel. You don't even own a fucking car. So you're spending it on cigarettes and booze. So instead of causing harm to yourself, give to a worthy cause that brings you joy, comfort, and even helps you sleep. In a time of increased global crises, week in, week out, we bring you joy, laughter, comfort. We travel around the country to bring you on-the-ground, non-biased information. Howard has just joined the ERSI Research Institute for faulty information. That costs money to get there. Make a donation. €5. €1. Think of all the chats, all the free chats you've got. Thousands upon thousands of free chats. Week on week, Howard answers all the fucking chats. 99% of other content creators won't even acknowledge you exist. Unless you pay them something. And what's €5 every month? What's that? €6. It's like it's not even 1 cent a day. Could be. I don't know. I can't do math. But it's nothing. And that's a light sell. I could turn on the pathos and
Oh yeah.
mention my fucking poor dying mother. But I won't. I don't want to talk about her, cancer. The fact that we can't afford a wheelchair. Those guys in the protests couldn't get to the hospital for chemotherapy. And I have to squirrel away whatever spare change I have, just so I can bury her. And we're going to have to buy a wicker coffin. Can you imagine that? The wicker fucking coffin. The embarrassment. Barely afford a plot. I don't even know if I can afford a plot. I think I'm going to have to bury her in a fucking field somewhere. And if I get caught doing that, I don't know what the penalties are, what the fine will be. Given the inclement weather, if it fucking rains, what's going to happen? She's going to pop up out of the fucking ground. Probably float onto the road. And some fucking Gardavan or some convoy will just fucking roll over. I'm even thinking like she has 2 gold teeth. So I'm probably going to have to remove them just to put a hard payment on the coffin when the moment finally arrives. But I won't have to do that if you would just make one donation, one €5 donation, not even €5 a month or a membership, just one €5, which isn't even €5. It'll be like €3.79 split between 2 people. So really, I'm only asking you like for 170. Yeah. And if you don't like me, you're giving it to Howard.
Yeah.
If you don't like Howard, you're giving it to me.
Yeah.
If you don't like either of us, you're helping some poor woman who's fucking dying of cancer.
Yeah.
So she can be happy when that final moment comes and she doesn't have to worry about if it's a wicker coffin or a cardboard coffin. I'm even keeping spare cardboard. Like, I go to Lidl and I picked up a lot of boxes, those small boxes from Lidl that you used to do your shopping in, but they brought in fucking plastic baskets when COVID happened, and there's one of those little small cardboard boxes you can carry around. But the sellotape doesn't come cheap to stick the small pieces of cardboard together and fashion them into some sort of decent looking coffin. Then I'm going to have to paint the cardboard, figure out how I'm going to, then I'm going to have to draw a cross on or get one of those metallic pens so it looks like a gold cross on the coffin. So yeah, there's that. And then my father, who lost a leg recently during one of the protests.
Jesus.
He's on the front line. All right. Right.
Oh, of course.
Aye.
Oh, that came out of nowhere. I loved it.
I did. All right, for 4:00. Okay,
Yeah.
that's great.
Time
Yeah,
to go.
and on a serious note, seriously, throw some fucking money. Like, Howard, for what? How many hours were you on the first slow drive for?
5 hours.
5 fucking hours, right? Driving 5 hours anywhere is torture at full speed, right? Even if you love driving, and Howard loves fucking driving.
I love driving.
Yeah. Truckers, though, are told to stop. Like, it's a legal requirement to stop after 3 hours because it becomes dangerous because you fucking drift. You get tired. And that's driving, at normal speed. 5 hours at what? 0.8 of a kilometer a fucking hour. Like, stuck behind a tractor. Like, the most annoying, irritating thing that can happen to you on the road is to be stuck in fucking traffic.
I know.
Right? Unbeknownst that it's going to happen. But to deliberately put yourself into that situation where you can't just go, okay, well, do you know what? I'm just going to pull out here into the next lane and overtake the convoy, because then you become a national fucking pariah. Like, you've got 8 fucking guys writing down your registration and you're doomed, and someone's taking a picture of you, and before you know it, you're on social media. This is the guy who fucking broke away from the protest.
The scab.
Yeah. But
yeah,
that's
and I
like,
did that twice. And you know what? When you're behind a tractor, right? You know those like rivets in the tires that, the grip, right? When they're going around and around and around, it's like hypnosis, man. You just kind of almost falls. If I wasn't looking at the chat on the live stream and talking to people, I'd have probably actually caused a fucking accident.
Yeah. And there you go, like, actually breaking the law while he's live streaming. Looking at the mobile fucking phone while he's driving and entertaining and talking and keeping people updated. Do the right thing. Just throw a few fucking quid at the show. That's all. Like, a euro. It's not even the monetary value. It's just, it's to measure that, where people value what we're doing,
Yeah.
I don't know. Have we ever got an email to say, thanks, guys, I think you're doing a great job. Like, thanks for the show.
Like 10 years ago?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And somebody must like it because people keep coming fucking back, at some stage. Yeah. And I don't want to do the whole grifty fucking McGrift thing. But I think it's fucking deserved, and some people have. And it's very much deserved. The money, like, if it's like $3,000 a month, well, then it becomes a money thing. But really, it's just a gratuity thing, and it's like, oh god, someone fucking actually, thought we were doing such a good job that they gave money. I don't think anyone's actually giving me money directly. Everyone's giving money to Howard, like, And that's because he's been the only one actually fucking asking for money, and somebody did recognise the work of what he was doing on the road and threw him some money. And it was probably wasn't it an American dude?
Yeah, an American, Irish American, and you know what? I didn't mention anything. It was just that he knew how YouTube worked, and he saw the little super chat icon blink or something. Or maybe he just thought, this guy, I like, what he's doing, because his message was, here's a tenner for some fuel. It's 4 a.m. where I am. LOL. And, but that was only because we had a nice, little chat, we got to know each other. And, that's usually what it takes to know that the person out there is actually real and not just, there to take the piss. I don't know what the fuck I need to do to convince more people that I'm not here to take the piss, because it's fucking exhausting, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is fucking exhausting. Yeah.
But we have to do it anyway. Like, there's no fucking choice for us. We do this or we die.
Yeah, pretty fucking much. And maybe it's just is it an Irish? Do you think it's an Irish cultural thing that it's just is it? Could you think it could be related to the whole tipping culture where people in the States are used to giving people gratuity, and so they see the value in something.
Yeah.
And here it's like, what? Give you money? Are you fuck? Sure, it's free anyway. What are they giving you money for? Like, I can just turn it on any stage and it's fucking there. Like, why would I want to pay for something that's free? That's fucking mad. Like,
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe no more free fucking chat reads or something like that, or the loyal people.
Yeah, but at the same time, it feels so dirty, doing that. It's like, I mean, I don't know. I still don't know. What I will say is that going forward, there definitely are some select few people who have something amazing to say at least once a night, and I will read that out. And then occasionally some cunt might come in and say something fucking stupid, and I will use that as a springboard to talk about something else. But other than that, I will be, I'm the fucking casual back and forth, because I need to focus on presenting, to performing, because
it's horribly, I don't know how you do it, it's horribly distracting to keep an eye on the chat, keep a train of thought, and have your full faculties about you. It's nigh on fucking impossible, and especially when it's a lot of it's stream of consciousness as well, because this isn't a scripted show in any way, shape, or form. There are, unless we're presenting something of substance, as in like looking at some piece of legislation or something like that, well, then there will be notes of the actual documentation. But there's people might say, well, it's obvious there's no forethought that goes into the fucking show. Like, but I think we do a pretty fucking decent job, and obviously I'm not here as much, but more so for you, like every fucking week, if not more, like, without fail, you come here, you present to people. Well, and it can't go on forever. No fucking sorry, go on.
Again, I'll die if I don't do it. So like, there's no other choice. So
yeah,
there you have
to
it.
Get the marketing number. It's like you will die, but you will die if you don't get the money.
Oh boy, yeah, I will. Yeah, much quicker. Yeah. But with all that said, whatever comes in through the channel, for the next few years. This is split down the middle with Morgan. Because
Oh yeah, you don't have to say that anymore. Like I think you feel you have to say that, or you have to fucking so you don't have to say that anymore.
there's a lot of people who look forward to hearing you on the show, and I need to make it known that no, this isn't just me. Because
don't you worry about that. The important thing is that we both know, and I'm not concerned if other people know or not.
All right.
So, but
okay, cool.
I get the sentiment, but just don't feel like somehow you're obligated to say it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll say it if I want to. Cool.
There you go. That's fair.
All right. This was an interesting journey. I guess you could reduce it down to that. Just a journey. So much
It was
more.
just a good chat.
Yeah.
Good talk. A bit of tension.
Tension is great.
Yeah,
I love me
good.
some tension.
Sorry, it wasn't full on screaming at each other.
Well, we'll get round to that sometime.
Yeah, that's another 5 years.
And by the way, Jason, I am working on us getting together with Critical Eye MMA.
All right.
But dude, he's a fucking gas. But I'm sorry. The last week, I was busy. I was in the convoy, and when you mentioned that you added me on Twitter with him, I read him as Critical Eye Emma. I was like, who the fuck is that?
I couldn't find them on Twitter. But yeah, at your own fucking leisure, like so yeah. It'd be interesting to see how it turns out.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? All right, man.
All right. You are.
Hey. Yeah, well. All right. I love you.